Bravo, Lima. Asta am auzit.
Nima.
Lima.
E de undeva.
Nu e de la Nima.
Nu. Am întâlnit o carcare.
I'm jealous.
Hi, Diana. Nice to meet you.
Dani.
Take a seat. Enjoy the food.
Okay, thank you. If I'm not speaking, do I sit somewhere separate from the speakers?
No.
I don't think so.
We can adjust.
Yeah.
We don't like anyways.
Okay, I'll leave. Thank
It's
you.
just this guy, so.
Yeah.
Mai îmi dai Ikea, te rog?
Doar dacă mi-aduci înapoi.
I will try it this time.
No, there is no try. There's only two, okay? Bring back the
I will.
Last time he left it in the car. In the car? He left it. It's like, okay, put this peak here.
I gave it to you, right?
I'll give it to you.
No.
Te simți de mut și
Da, puiu. Cu cine vorbești? Mami? Cu mami? Ia Taralca.
Eu nu am din ăștia. Eu am pe Nima. Și mi-ajunge.
Hai fi. Hai fi.
America? Massachusetts. Second time I've done that.
Be nice with this man.
No,
all
it's
me.
good. No, I need that because it's like,
Why do you need that? Are people too nice with you in America or what?
well, it's nice to be here. I'm okay. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. No, actually, the German over there,
What did you
Oh.
he didn't know I was married, so I didn't recognize your accent. First one.
Well, I have family in the US.
Sure. Massachusetts.
All right.
Have you been?
Closer to Vermont.
Which way?
Detroit. And
Detroit,
I'm
nice.
about to go in December to Florida.
Yeah, which part?
Florida?
Yeah.
Clearwater?
Uh-huh.
Tampa.
Yeah, that's
And
my
then
grandparents live there.
My aunt and uncle who are over 70 live there, and they insisted that I visit.
That's the retirement capital almost, I think. Yeah, everybody goes. Yeah. A lot of people retire in Clearwater.
Yeah. Well, they retired from Detroit, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry for being a bit antisocial and watching like the championship that's live.
Championship of what?
Bouldering.
Foarte
I
tare.
have somebody who's participating in
Și o să pui USB-ți, și o să conectezi automat.
Giving the lid.
Și o să pus un client ca
So
două.
far, they kind
Poți să
of
pui
You're nervous?
Are și nu știu exact, așa că afiș.
Mai văzut pe afiș.
Nu, asta n-are treaba, asta nu știu cât are, uite, ceva. N-am idee. Aici, nu știu, habar n-am. Nu m-am, uite că dacă pui zice,
Partenerul meu de dansă.
habar n-am, nu
De el ți-am zis de voluntariat, poate îmi trece pe la tine. Noi lăsam.
nu mă pricep.
With Bogdan I spoke about
Are niște
volunteering.
clienți acolo.
Yeah.
Procentul pe
Do you still have work right now? Yeah, probably.
I'm mulching the bed.
Mulching? Oh, mulțumim.
Cleaning, mulching the bed.
Yeah, that's what we're starting the beds for the first time.
Yes.
So yeah, we're using a lot of your inspiration and using some styles.
Yeah,
And
okay.
yeah. You want to see part of it?
Yeah, why not?
Ah, wait.
Avem și lavaliere.
Unde? Cum?
Una dintre clienii mei.
Oh, cred că despre Maria.
Ce mai am?
Se vede tot cadrul? Se vede tot cadrul?
Da, bine, aia e doar una.
Să vedem.
O face jumate, atât, dar nu. Nu, că n-am destule țigle pentru știu că e mai mult control de burien, dar asta știu ce am făcut. Asta zic, că nu e de control de burien, nu e doar de delimitare. E de delimitare pentru că zic, învăț o sare burien.
Foarte curios.
Exact,
Foarte
știu.
foarte sensibil.
Da, o să mă bazez pe
Am câteva zile a început să plouă.
muncire cu de-astea.
Cred că 5 secunde a început să plouă și eram deja treaz.
Tocătură de creci.
Dar
Pe aia s-o să mă
lătratul
bazez
celor
mai
5
mult. Și o să
km,
încerc
care
să
sunt
fac
40
sus,
km.
la destul de jos, să nu mai am grijă așa mult. Nu merge.
Cam greu să manipulezi, mă rog,
Am funcție de mine.
Da, păi asta e că nu
Dar
știu,
nu de
o să
ignor.
am
Pentru că dacă
cadruri diferite. Unele o să fie doar pentru plante perene, unele o să fie doar plante anuale și o să am și un part pentru care direct
am
cu secara, acum încerc cu secara, unde nu spun deloc și cel puțin în primul an.
Avantajul de a nu avea sar.
Stau departe de sat, stau la 2 km.
E așa, foarte.
Am vecinii, un vecinii,
a venit mai mult machiaj la
Tot prin Brașov?
la marginea, scalețe la cu vasă. În Minț, acolo, aproape de Minț.
Deci pentru tine dormi și la
Cu Marian, trebuie să vorbim?
Cu Marian, cred că el. Da, Marian e
Sună-mi,
Ce
vizibilă. Știe nimeni că e
La sfârșit, fiecare câte
Deci
țipă.
trebuie să
acasă.
Deci trebuie să vezi oameni. Dacă dormi în casă și dormi în casă. Chiar dacă cineva
Everybody has.
la cort. Și cum merge și o limită de proprietate și cum urși se la mine ca o lumină de brand. Așa. Ce? 2-3 ani sigur în jurul casei. Deci nu-i problema. Așa. Cum zice, noi trebuie să-i latră toată noaptea, de te albesc.
Nu spune că nu le-am făcut. Să mai e finuț de mine.
Exact ca patriocle, că era tine. Are 6 patriocle, are 10 date așa pe călăduțe, pe calculeu, al meu are mai mult. Adică proporțional.
Tot fain că ne-am adunat așa grămadă. Vă zic, bine ați venit. Facem așa o scurtă prezentare și să vedem și cine, cum suntem, care ce nume poartă. Și sunt Marian Ganci de la Herd of Florence și îți devii cu plantele de la bunica și tot așa am explorat lumea asta a plantelor. Și deodată a venit mesajul că trebuie să fim cât mai prin lume, chiar dacă dăm noi așa unor prieteni învățăturile, dar cel mai bine este să întindem. Misiunea noastră este să suntem mesageri la urma urmei și dăm mai departe. Și cu cât împrăștiem mai mult semințele, cum s-ar zice, cu atât sperăm că lumea va fi un loc mai bun. Este un loc mai bun, dar cu oameni mai ok, mai chill, mai așezați, mai întorși la rădăcini. Dacă îmi zici pe tine.
Da. Eu sunt Alca, sunt din Brasov, sunt profesoară de pian. Sunt pasionată de plante de un an, 2, cam așa. Am venit casa de plante verzi, că se facă plante de flori, dar mai mult plante verzi. Câteva un pic de plante rare. Și fi spus de ceai, mama mea, bunica mea, au fost și de pasionată de plante medicinale. Am făcut mixuri de ceai de acasă și de gătește și am făcut să fiu mai pasionată de ceai. Am făcut la întreg de zi de ceai. E o pasiune. Nu știu ce să zic. Bună, eu sunt Marina, sunt mețăsăteană Și sunt pasionată de plante de foarte multă vreme, de când eram mică. Momentan nu am o grădină a mea, dar asta îmi doresc. Sperăm la un moment dat, eu sunt din Simtul. Sper la un moment dat să găsim un loc, poate chiar pe aici, să eu cu prietenul și să facem ceva. Și am zis să vin aici să văd, poate primesc informații de care am nevoie, să se materializeze ce ne dorim.
Bună, eu sunt Daniela, fac multe în viață. Specific om de comunicare în tehnologie, în Marea Britanie. Recent întoarsă din Scandinavia, în România, din Brasov, în Brasov, momentan. Îmi dau și doctorat în științelor nucleare cu oameni de știință din România de până în 1980. Sunt pasionată și de partea de herbalism. Și sunt aici pentru că în sfârșit ați venit și voi în zona asta, adică și m-am prins și eu ca program, pentru că de urmărit vă urmăresc de mult și de când v-am văzut pe voi pe Instagram și toate cele din în sfârșit, niște idei pe care le-am avut și le-am puse în practică de oameni care chiar au timp și să-și dezvolte toată partea asta. Foarte specific, la mine apreciez super mult faptul că avem, în general, un bagaj de cunoștințe enorm, ca și neam. Partea de ierburi, plante este absolut necesară și de țin cont. Și cumva legătura mea, să zic aici și pe mai încolo, va fi cum să abordăm aceste subiecte și să ne bucurăm de aceste cunoștințe și să le dăm mai departe la fond. Ca să știe și ei de ce se întâmplă în zonă.
Tudor Tescoveanu, nu mă cunosc neapărat ca nume. Proiectul meu se numește Naturii din terenă. Locuiesc undeva în mijlocul pădurii de vreo 6 ani, la genul. Am divorțat de oraș pentru că la un dat era o prăpastie de valori între mine și ce se întâmplă în jurul meu. Așa că locuiesc într-o casă de pământ și nu mai am niciun fel de relație cu societatea sau încerc să recreez o relație pe alte baze, pornind de la permacultură. Și sunt foarte preocupat în acest moment de viață de ideea de comunități intenționale, pentru că cred că toată nevoia asta noastră de a ne găsi locul nostru e foarte valid, însă ideea de a ne atomiza în niște diferite este sortit eșecului, pentru că entuziasmul și energia tinereții la un dat se vor duce, iar atunci va rămâne una din două variante. Fie ne vom întoarce de unde în săcat, adică la oraș, fie nu știu ce se va întâmpla cu noi în vârful unei deal sau în mijlocul pădurii, unde probabil că la 80 de ani nu se mai pune de pe bicicletă până în sac și cel puțin nu îmi să ajung la OTV când o să ne fie că pleci mai multe ulei și zahăr și trăine pe un șterți. Așa că mai degrabă simt nevoia de a investi în oameni decât în și comunitate, implicit, decât în prea multă independență care e plăcută, dar nu cred că reprezintă viitorul atomului. Prea multă
Eu sunt Danuca. Și un proiect se numește Budaia. Implică mai multe lucruri. Unul din ele, care o să fie și la punctul de discuție de astăzi, e centru educațional și gospodăria mea, casa de căsuța mea. Și eu stau la țară, mă rog, lângă țară, lângă un institut în județul Covasna, într-o zonă sănătoasă, superbă, unde de 2 ani de zile acum am reușit să finalizez restaurarea unei gospodării întregi și unde am creat un muzeu de plante medicinale și medicină naturopată și o grădină botanică de plante medicinale.
unde e deschisă pentru toată lumea și sper să fie tot mai cunoscut locul. Înainte de asta am stat tot într-un sat, tot la capătul unui sat în județul Mureș. Încă mai am gospodăria aceea, acolo cultiv plantele pentru producția mea de fac și ocealiu, fac și producție de îngrijire funcțională. Dar victimul meu care de interes mai mare este educația. Și eu vin dintr-o familie multigenerațională de vraci și fămăduitori și am zis să iau o altă cale puțin. Eu sunt puțin rupt în două, dar cumva se unesc câmpile și restaurator de patrimoniu. Și mă ocup și de plante medicinale și medicină, încerc să combin cumva tot ce putem lua bun din medicină tradițională și din medicină modernă naturopată. Și da, scopul meu este să dau mai departe. La mine nu mai e o pasiune, deja că am trecut de nivelul ăla de mult. E viața mea. Și da, sper să ne putem aduna cât mai mulți oameni care lucrăm cu natura și cu plantele, să găsim o cale de a putea comunica mai bine și de a împărtăși și să zicem, să atragem și alți oameni în această sectă.
Salutare! Eu sunt Diana. Noi am venit împreună. Noi ne-am mutat de curând la țară, în februarie, undeva în Mureș, unde vin, și avem un proiect, se numește Bine de vacanță, dar nu este despre, adică nu mai este atât de mult despre vacanțe. Avem un canal de YouTube. Și de când am mutat la țară suntem tot mai interesați despre restaurări, permacultură și tot ce înseamnă cumva natural, pentru că am observat o migrare a omului comun către tot ce înseamnă nou, către chips, către boxele și tot felul de chimicale care nu sunt foarte sănătoase pentru noi. Și atunci de asta am venit aici, să aflăm mai multe informații. Sau tu de ce ai venit aici?
Salutare, eu sunt Dani. Eu nu sunt pasionat de plante, adică chiar pot să spun că până acum cred că mi-amintesc o singură dată am folosit așa. Când mă gândesc la plante, mă gândesc la o rostopască pe care am folosit-o când eram copil ca să tratez un neg. S-a descurcat cu succes. Cred în puterea plantelor, doar că nu știu, probabil că nu mi-am făcut timp suficient de mult încât să înțeleg un pic mai bine tot domeniul acesta. Am auzit că oamenii care sunt pasionați sunt foarte faini, așa că am văzut evenimentul pe Instagram, pe mulți dintre voi vă urmărim pentru că aveți niște informații foarte faine și asta cumva mi-a adus aici. Și în plus, Diana a experimentat anul acesta pentru prima oară o grădină în sistem de permacultură și eu am fost foarte încântat de gustul roșilor de acolo, așa că am venit pentru că sunt sigur că sunt așa de multe informații pe care le poți afla, poți să ai în primul rând pentru tine niște legume pe care le consumăm cu toții, indiferent că ne dăm seama sau nu, plante. Vrem să consumăm alimente cât mai sănătoase și în plus de asta cred că pe viitor o să devin și eu pasionat mai îndeaproape de domeniu.
Sunt Marta. M-am mutat la țară oficial în mai, dar am filtrat cu acel loc pentru 2 ani de zile cumpărat în 2012. După ce în prealabil m-am mutat din America, apoi în România, cu gândul de a cumpăra o casă la țară în România și de a fi mai aproape de familie. E interesantă experiența asta, tranziția asta de înpământare în zona asta mistică și de a reveni la natură și de a reduce mele și nu cred că pot zice la un moment dat să regret această decizie. A fost cea mai puțină decizie, dar a fost foarte dificilă și am venit aici să împărtășesc cam din experiența mea, din ce înseamnă să revii la rădăcini, dificultăți, reușite, succese. Da, studiile mele, dacă e vorba asta, sunt ingineria mediului, chimie și am făcut acum de prin alternativă în agricultură
agricultură durabilă, pentru că am fost curioasă să aflu în special cum se colaborează, cum se comunică cu acea ramură a agriculturii convenționale și, într-adevăr, am fost atent propulsată în lumea agriculturii convenționale, în mod surprinzător, pentru că majoritatea colegilor mei erau din agricultura convențională, iar agricultura durabilă părea să fie doar un fel de hai că trebuie să facem un program de masterat. Și au avut, ca să nu zic acum, a fost bun programul, au avut tangențe cu perspective de agricultură durabilă, dar ar fi putut probabil plusa mai mult în direcția asta de agricultură bio, practici diverse în combaterea dăunătorilor. Ar fi putut plusa un pic mai mult în direcția asta. Mi-am atins. Ce să fac?
Un master. Un doctorat, ca să poți să susții un master.
Da, cam așa.
Okay. I just figured out what I'm supposed to do. So I'm Dylan, and I'm visiting here for the first time, but I've been interested in permaculture, sustainable farming, and agriculture for a long time. And I agree with trying to popularize it in the garden, and most likely everything you guys are talking about now. That's all I think I can say.
Salutare, Suliman sunt, Suliman Bogdan, Suli, sunt membru în comitetul de coordonare al Asociației Pluralis, o asociație de tineri, fermieri și producători. M-am apucat de permacultură acum 9 ani, deja am 3 grădini în care aplic permacultura. Cumva de la permacultură am ajuns la agroecologie și de la agroecologie la servicii ecosistemice. E cum să trăiesc în mine ecosistem, în grădina Catrețe. Sunt destul de mult implicat, sunt mai mult focusat pe salvarea de semințe tradiționale, semințe vechi. Educația pe partea tinerilor, am mai avut și programe cu școala altfel, copii de la București, eu din Buzău, grădinile de la Buzău, m-am cumpărat și în zona montană, pe Carpați, la față de teren, încerc să aplic să formez acolo în centru de lucrare, de lucru și
puțini oameni.
Păi da, am 3.000 de metri pătrați de grădini, 1 hectar jumate de teren arabil, 1 hectar jumate de pășune cu pădure și livade și multe. Bine, terenul arabil, folosesc pe cineva de tractorul și să fac agricultura convențională, să n-am cum să fac agricultura acolo. Dar în rest încerc să facem mai mult.
Alexandru Andrei, nomad de vreo câțiva ani, de când avea Luca 2 ani jumătate, am plecat din București, nu s-a mai făcut, era suficient, am luat o dubă, am început să urmă. Nomad în căutare de loc, deja că aveți nevoie de oameni. Așa. Fac atât de multe lucruri de când mă știu, am făcut fotografie, fac design grafic, de câte acum. Muzică, scriu, fac atât de multe lucruri și atât de mult nu-mi plac rețelele sociale, încât n-am niciun proiect stabil. Deci nu o să mă găsiți nicăieri, probabil. Și... Ce anume?
She's not even there.
I'm not even here. I'm invisible as much as I can think so much. Plantele m-am împrietenit pe la 12 ani, 14 ani, când umblam pe munte. M-a învățat un prieten de-al lui taică, mă ducea pe munte și mi-a arătat, uite, asta ține de sete, ciuperca asta face nu știu ce. Am uitat de atunci, m-am depărtat de el. Și mai târziu, că la 18 ani, iar a început să mă pasioneze. Stai că când am început să m-am oprit, nu am mai luat pastile. Mă îmbolnăveam foarte mult, dar mie îmi dădeam pastile, am zis gata. Am suferit vreo lună, două, și apoi, ia, la plăcut asta și asta. Nu, așa am reînceput. Acum fac eu din nou picturi, creme, etc. Pentru că de vreo 2 ani de zile nu mai văd, că mi s-a întâmplat o întâmplare. Acum mai mult nu mai văd, dar observ mai mult și îl învăț pe micul Tarzan de acolo, tot felul de plăntuse și perci, cum să se uite, îi dau să miroasă și ne mai ajută reciproc. Dar încă lucrez cu plantele. Și cu mine, și cu alții. Cam atât. Deci, și mă bucur că suntem aici așa de mulți și așa încerc. In Romania. What? It's a tough life. I've learned a lot of things that I didn't know before this particular permaculture lifestyle came across. I didn't really know how much a chicken costs. I didn't realize that I could go to the store and buy a chicken for a fraction of the price it cost me to grow one myself, including the eggs in its production. But it's not all full of chemical. It's mine. I'm still trucking my way through it.
Yeah, I'm Alina. I will also do this in English. This is my vocabulary lesson for the day. My Romanian gets quite good. I can understand what you say. I think the most connection with permaculture I have also on a professional level. I'm a curator and educator in museums and for youth. And the last 2 years I worked with the German minority in Romania. We did a lot of projects that combine culture and nature and sustainability. And I think it's always good to see what new projects are there and what new viewpoints they have to offer. So I'm glad to be here.
Spunea, eu sunt Nicoleta, am ajuns aici datorită vouă bile de vacanță, deci v-ați făcut joc-ul, ați mai adus un om care știe prea puțin despre permacultură. Sunt corporatistă încă, dar am crescut la țară și mă pot, de la 14 ani am plecat de acasă, sunt deja 15 departe de casă, din Republica Moldova, dar înțeleg că locul meu e undeva la țară. Recunosc tot ce se întâmplă la țară. Părinții mei fac agricultură, când merg acasă, mă implic de mult. Îmi place ce faceți voi zile de vacanță. Avem și noi în adâncul sufletului un astfel de proiecte și astăzi sunt aici să ascult și să învăț de la voi cât vă
Cristina, am trăit de Marte, am venit, mi-am mai invitat și am cunoscut-o pe Marta anul trecut la Sol și Suflet, dacă știți, eram voluntar acolo și am mai făcut ceva voluntariat pe permacultură, dar sunt departe de asta, de ce am devenit pe corporatistă. Și da, nu știu, încep totuși să rămân pe de conectat cu lumea asta, să văd că mă inspiră și fac alegeri mai bune în viitor.
Bună, sunt Adelgica, sunt aici la de Cosmina, relativ întâmplător. Am venit în vizite la ea și m-am invitat aici. Eu vin din industria alimentară, de partea grea și dar am copilez la țară, știu câte ceva, faptul că mi-am urbanizat foarte mult, însă mi-am mai pierdut. Dar e așa, mai for your info, sau amintește strategia asta. S-a întâmplat și prin mine întâmplător, cu siguranță ne se poate aici. Numele meu este Bianca, sunt pasionată de plante. Pasiunea mea mi-am redescoperit-o, cred că în pandemie, când m-am mutat la țară. Mă supăra să stau în loc. Și bunica și străbunica mea, ele erau cu plantele. Produceau de pelagină, de răsupată și găsisem o carte veche. M-am dus, mi-am luat părința, m-am dus în drum, să caut plantele respective. Cel mai mult mi-a plăcut procesul de ulei de tif,
aparate de mâncare. Și cam asta îmi place cel mai mult la ele, procese în care le recoltez. După aceea mi-am făcut o pagină de Instagram, Antevedeat, unde m-am gândit să educ oamenii și să creez o enciclopedie de educație. Mă duc mai departe cât de mult pot. Am și mă pasionează nutriția, de biologie, și mă bucur de aici.
Mulțumim de drag că am făcut așa prezentarea asta. Putem să spunem că chiar am început oficial conferința. Și ideea conferinței.
Am vrut doar să propun ceva, că sunt 3 persoane nevorbitoare de limba română, dacă se poate, ca să ne înțelegem toți, nu știu, să vorbim în engleză. Și e toată lumea engleză? Nu? We are also interested to know more about more subjects. So, yeah. Right?
Okay, everybody comfortable?
Then it will be you can translate an awkward.
If you're okay with Maria, sorry. If it's okay with you, I can just translate to him. So,
But
I don't
know.
but I think they're much more used to Romanian. No, not really.
No.
I can also translate.
Yeah.
But maybe a little much
Stop
better,
here.
like on the back.
Yeah. I mean, but if English, if you all know English at a certain level that we can speak in English, then I think it's easier to speak in English. No? Is that okay?
Yeah, we can speak in English.
I'm totally fine with that. Okay, somebody who's not comfortable. Yeah, that's why I was asking if someone is not comfortable with English, just say it. And...
Cine vrea să rog ăsta nu
I'll speak in French. No.
I can speak in Dutch. So even further.
In the third edition, the idea of this conference is it's for us, first of all, to know each other, to be here, to gather the people around the idea of nature, even if it's permaculture, if it's medical plants, it's candles, everything that's related and correlated with nature, we are here. So, like I said, this is the third edition. We have in also 2 months. First edition was in Bucharest. The third is here. The second one will be in Sibiu or Cluj. So we do it. This, I think the idea is to be have almost 1 year conference, and the next year to have some speakers from outside. We already have the speakers now outside Romania, so just go further.
Hello, I'm honored to be here with you. And today we will meet all the speakers about nature and plants. Okay, I'm a Astăzi ne-am adunat aici ca să vorbim împreună cu povestitori care sunt pasionați de mediu, de o viață sănătoasă, de natură și care ne vor împărtăși din experiențele și cunoștințele lor și cum au creat această pasiune ca o filozofie de viață. Dar înainte de a începe, vă invit să gustăm împreună un ceai la Simtul.
Am făcut și cine vrea ceaiul, îl avem, sau dacă aveți răbdare putem să dăm și la sfârșit. Deci, nu decideți. Hai de
La 10. Știi de ce? Pentru că acum aici deschide oamenii.
Și până la somn. Perfect. Depinde acum de speaker. No pressure. Vreți să auziți ceva de la mine? Pun aici boanele ei și acolo nu pun.
Temperatura sau ceaiul?
Mă face rușine aici.
E bine că poți să vezi că educația ta nu poți să vezi nimic. Ai mei sunt sărani toți.
We can raise hands and we can vote.
For what?
For what?
For tea now.
Whoever wants to drink
will be
tea.
here, so
Exactly.
who wants will have a cup of tea.
Deoarece dacă vom vom avea oportunitatea de a ne reconecta cu natura chiar de la început.
Iar ceaiul este făcut special pentru conferință. Este pentru a ne deschide.
Okay, I'll go bring the tea. Okay.
Yes.
Is it in a bigger pot? or
Yes,
something?
yes.
Can I bring it over here?
Yes.
Yeah, great. I'm a proactive.
Păcat că nu avem un pian, că era pe un bloc. Mergea așa ca timp de așteptare. Muzică de lift.
De asemenea, fiecare poveste va fi urmată de o sesiune de
Nu au fost
Trebuie pus la... Nu, prima! Așa la ureche. Băgătii la butonata.
Now ready. We'll bring it outside.
Right here.
All right.
Până când aduce asta,
I wanted to put them, but I know how to do it. All messed up. If you have problems with this, if you have to clean the land and you have to pull the land, so nothing else. So first year I did conventional agriculture. And then
Nemo.
terapie în natură, Marian folosește puterea plantelor pentru a vindeca la nivel politic. Haideți să ascultăm povestea lui și să descoperim cum plantul ne aduc în viața noastră și să lăsăm să ne aducă mai
să încep. E fiecare dată, chiar dacă vorbesc foarte mult în public, de fiecare dată am minus. Nu e vorba de uitat.
Uite-te la trandafirul ăla. Vorbește cu trandafirul, că noi auzim, noi ascultăm discuția voastră.
I heard one of the strategies is to imagine everybody's naked.
We are all good looking.
Dacă tot am făcut prezentările și mă fac numele noastre fiecare așa, cum ar fi să facem un mic exercițiu? Să ne întoarcem către celălalt, de lângă noi, să spunem bună natură. Sau bună, eu sunt natură.
Bună, eu sunt natură. I live there. I'm all self.
Noi cu toții suntem natură. Noi nu facem, nu suntem separați deloc de natură, de mediu. Deși ne-am obișnuit să ne separăm, să ne dezrădăcinăm, să ne delogăm de la natură, noi în continuare facem parte. Ne hrănim, ne luăm medicina, ne îmbrăcăm, da, acum devenim tot mai sintetici, tot mai artificiali, dar noi suntem natură. Dacă ne uităm la corpul nostru, este legat de natură, nu este nimic diferit de natură. Și am dat zilele trecute de un exercițiu foarte fain, de un dialog în care spune că noi suntem suma gândurilor noastre. Ceea ce gândim noi, creăm realitatea în jurul nostru. În fiecare zi ne trezim pe aceeași parte a patului. Oprim alarma telefonului cu același deget. Ne ducem la baie în același fel, ne așezăm pe WC în același fel, ne spălăm pe dinți în același fel, ne îmbrăcăm în haine, în aceleași materiale. Și dusul în natură, într-un loc în care consider că este baie, tot baie este.
Da, că trebuie întotdeauna în fiecare zi să alegea loc.
Partea a doua, dar tot baie este. Este același ritual. Deci bei cafeaua din cada ta preferată zilnic sau ceaiul. Și faci aceeași rutină, practic, zilnic. Unii se duc la birou, avem aici corporatiști, întâlnesc aceiași oameni, li se apasă aceleași butoane emoționale zilnic, ajung acasă ca să testeze niște mesaje, să se deconecteze de la muncă, dar sunt deconectați de la viața lor și sunt într-o continuare fugă. Și pe social media și pe absolut orice, ca să mai verifice niște mail-uri, să doarmă, să se trezească dimineața să facă aceeași rutină. Și în felul ăsta noi avem realitatea creată, setată. Neuroștiința spune că în momentul în care vrem să schimbăm ceva la noi, trebuie să ne schimbăm la propriu viața. Dacă faci niște programe de tranziție, de mutare, de schimbare în tine și urmezi aceleași pattern-uri, nu ai niciun succes. Toată vedem că nu avem succes și eșuează orice program. Pentru că, literalmente, trebuie să-ți schimbi viața. Să trezești pe partea cealaltă a patului. Astăzi, mâine, în drum spre serviciu sau pe locul tău de muncă sau oriunde, nu urmezi aceeași cărare. Îți faci altă cărare tot timpul. Și astfel ieși din pattern. Pentru că pattern-ul este zona noastră de confort. Și așa facem și cu natura. Ne creăm o zonă de confort. Și ca să evoluăm, să fim în acord cu natura, natura o vedem tot timpul, este în continuă mișcare, în continuă tranziție. Planta asta de aici, anul viitor o găsim câțiva centimetri mai aici, pentru că nu se poate mișca. Animalele se mișcă constant, au un culcuș, chiar dacă au traiectoriile lor, totul este în continuă mișcare. Noi facem opusul. Noi încercăm să găsim cât mai multă stabilitate, cât mai multă fixație, sismul acesta al nostru. Relația noastră cu natura ne învață cum să evoluăm. Și în permacultură asta se vede. Fiecare plantă, fiecare insectă, fiecare animal are rolul ei determinat și este un echilibru. Pentru că creezi un echilibru, un ecosistem care este viu, totul, și îți asigură hrană, medicină și autosustenabilitate ca îngrășământ pentru anul viitor. În așa fel încât solul să fie bogat. Asta învățăm de la natură. Cum să fim în armonie cu tot. Și permacultura, din punctul meu de vedere, asta mă învață. Asta am învățat și lucrând cu plantele. Fiind tot timpul în pădure, cu ele, cu legându-le. Nu neapărat medicina pe care o iau și o folosesc, pe care mi-o dă planta, ci relația pe care o creez cu tot ecosistemul. Și noi, dacă nu suntem aware de ecosistemul nostru interior, pentru că natura noastră interioară este reflectată în natura exterioară. Și natura exterioară se reflectă în natura interioară. Și vedem că dacă noi nu avem o liniște în noi, unul dintre profesorii mei de herbalism mă învață așa: să nu te duci niciodată să culegi plantele medicinale când ești deranjat emoțional. Trebuie să stai, să te așezi, poți să te duci în natură, poți să le vorbești cu ele, poți să te descarci lor, să iei învățătură de la ele, să povestești cu ele, dar fără să le culegi. Pentru că în momentul în care le-ai cules, energia ta, toată intenția, nu mai devine medicină autentică. Și după aceea procesul de uscare și de folosire, tot așa, tu trebuie să fii zen. Cum și Rala zicea, trebuie să fii zen. Și ca să atingi starea asta de zen, trebuie să lucrezi constant cu tine, o analiză constantă, să-ți faci curățenie în grădină. grădina ta să fie ecosistemul acesta de permacultură, toate emoțiile care îți vin și toate traumele când le lucrezi. Și este un proces constant. Nu poți să spui că gata, am ajuns într-un punct și m-am oprit de aici încolo. Este constant. Pentru că și natura este constantă, de la an la an se schimbă. Și totul este în continuă transformare. Noi ne transformăm constant. Și revenind puțin la neuroștiință, spune la fel. Ca să avem o natură curată, trebuie să avem o natură curată în interiorul nostru. Și orice pattern îl avem, putem să-l dezinstalăm. Orice program îl avem, putem să... Dar totul ține de noi. Să ieșim din zona de confort. Pentru că zona de confort este zona în care ne omoară pe toți. Și avem nevoie de curaj. Pentru că natură, dacă te uiți și mai adânc, vezi curaj. Curaj, determinare și asumare. Planta spune, rolul meu este să cresc, să ating potențialul maxim ca plantă, ca individ, să dau mai departe semințele, să următoarea generație să contribuie la tot ecosistemul și să-mi fac rolul. Rolul fiecărei plante este să contribuie. Și plantele nu sunt degeaba aici, ele contribuie, dar rolul lor este să contribuie. Este o vorbă foarte faină a universului, o lege care spune give and receive. Asta învățăm de la practică. Dai și primești. E constant. Dar noi, umanitatea, societatea, ne învață să cerem. Constant să cerem, și devine prioritar să cerem și secundar să oferim. Această polaritate inversă. Și natura este cel mai bun profesor de polaritate. Când avem totul clar, totul așezat și în permacultură, când îți așezi, îți faci grădina, îți lucrezi grădina, nu este doar pentru a avea autosustenabil, a fi rupt de societate, de stat, să nu mai depinzi de Kaufland, de toate marile firme. Pentru că, la urmă, pe ele nu le interesează hrana ta, că dacă le interesa hrana și bunătatea, ar pune pe piață chestii super bune, bio, ecologice. Este o afacere. Să nu uităm, asta că este o afacere care pe ei interesează să genereze bani. Venit. Și nu pentru noi, ci pentru ei. Și în felul ăsta, dacă ei se schimbă, dacă nu este profitabilă afacerea cu alimente, ei pot să schimbe mâine, apoi pot să vând haine. Automat pentru că este un business. Și în acest business noi devenim rupți de societate, nu rupți, agățați mai degrabă rupți. Devenim foarte prinși ca niște copii la țâță. Și o altă chestie faină, natura este gratuită. Și este suficient pentru toată lumea, pentru oricine. Și permacultura, în tot sistemul ăsta, cum băgați curala mai devreme, permacultura a existat de când lumea, agricultura veche, își organizau ei sistemele de irigație, de a crea, de a susține. Și mi-aduc aminte când eram la țară, când eram mic, dusul în grădină, a săpa pământul, a planta, toate roadele după aceea aveau altceva, aveau un alt gust, vedeai, în ele nu doar sămânța și soiul și gustul de plantă, vedeai și munca ta, vedeai efortul zilei sau efortul perioadei în care ai plantat acele plante și vedeai energia care tu ai udat-o, tu ai plantat-o, tu ai îngrijit-o și la sfârșit simți cu totul o bucurie. Te bucură nu doar gustul în sine, dar doar când vezi grădina plină. Și acest ecosistem viu al grădinii reflectă și ecosistemul din interior. Vedem oameni care au grădini luxuriante de plante neîngrijite. Și îți dai seama imediat că în interiorul lor este neîngrijire. Vedeți că interiorul caselor este haos și interiorul este haos. Când vezi cu ordinea așezat tot, și nu ordinea în care tu vii ca un dictator și spui asta este aici, asta este aici, ci o ordine vie, naturală, care curge totul. Asta am învățat din permacultură. Că totul este viu și organic. În felul în care tu poți să te susții, să fii zen. să stai în armonie cu tot. La urma urmei, scopul nostru, fiecare are misiunea lui, dar scopul nostru pe pământ este să fim în armonie. Și vedem atâtea disocieri în societate. Războaie, criza alimentelor, foamete, sclavia în continuare, pe bandă rulantă. Și suntem în 2024. Și sclavia, spunem că a fost abolită cât? Mult. Dar în realitate nu a dispărut niciodată. Dar scopul nostru aici pe pământ este să fim în armonie. Nu în vârful unei zgârie nori, curându-le acolo de fațele, de pătrați. Aici, pentru că este suficient pentru toată lumea să simți pământul. Conexiunea asta, rădăcini. Vorbeam cu Andra în mașină de cuvântul distracție. Și dacă îl disecăm puțin, vedem distracție care vine ca rădăcină de la distragere, de la a distrage atenția de la natura noastră. Și societatea asta face. Ne distrage atenția de la natura noastră. Și educația în școală către asta programează copiii. Să fie distrași de la natura noastră.
Not get school started on
You have your swap.
Scopul nostru este să, dacă tu cu timpul și ne vezi pe noi, dacă ne punem la povești, ne punem, vorbim.
Okay, 15 more minutes then.
Toți grădinarii au început să ne-ar vorbi în continuu.
Da, deci noi vorbim continuu, de asta pusesem o regulă la început să avem un timer. Da,
Păi dacă plantele ar vorbi cu noi, poate nu mai voi vorbi așa mult. Când ne întâlnim cu lumea.
Dacă plantele vor vorbi cu noi,
nu mai vorbi așa mult. Dacă ai în grădină, nu vorbești cu nimeni.
Exact.
Uite, este o poveste foarte faină. Spune așa că în grădina raiului, armonia aia de Eden, noi nu aveam nevoie de vocabular, de cuvânt. Pentru că totul era la unison, era un vocabular comun și aproape telepatic. În momentul în care ne-am rupt, am ieșit din grădina raiului, plantele au venit către noi și au început să-și pune fiecare numele ei. Eu sunt care, eu sunt care, eu sunt care, eu sunt care. Și am reînceput să ne aducem aminte de numele lor și să vorbim cu ele. Dar nu aveam capacitatea aceea de a vorbi cu ele și să ne folosim de ele la nivel spiritual, energetic și am început să le mâncăm. Ăsta a fost felul în care era singura modalitate să le înțelegem, să le intrăm în armonie cu ele. Între timp am uitat chiar partea asta. Și acum este momentul în care ele sunt în continuare aici și încep să ne spună iar aceeași poveste. Eu sunt care, eu sunt care, eu sunt care.
mama lui de mor.
Exact. Cred că vă mulțumesc, dragilor, pentru răbdare și pentru extra timp. Dacă aveți întrebări?
Am eu o mențiune, o întrebare, mențiune. S-a menționat că ai spus că natura acolo ne oferă, e pentru noi gratis. Natura nu e gratis. Nu e gratis deloc, pentru că întotdeauna ce iei trebuie să dai înapoi și natura le cere în primul rând respect. Plantele cer respect, animalele cer respect. Noi trebuie să oferim respectul.
Gratuitate m-am referit ca schimb
financiar.
Și ca financiar.
Nu, nici asta. Nu există financiar noi în ecosistem, nu există. Dar nu e nimic gratis, că și schimbul e ceva, nu e gratis. Și natura nu ne dă pe gratis. Natura vrea să o lăsăm în pace, de fapt, cum ar veni. Da, să o arunc.
Ți-a adus o cunoaștere.
Da, zice, vă rog, asta ce plante. Nu ca să nu, hai zice ceva.
Nu poate programată tu, ai educat-o prima.
E programată pe foraging. New species.
Mai avea o întrebare la un propan. Primul moment am ajuns, pentru că noi anul acesta ne-am mutat în natură, când am început așa să arunc o privire în jur, din nou, eu încă nu reușesc ca să disting frunza de frunza de. Asta e nivelul la care sunt. Și am fost un pic atent la tine și mi-ai spus că natura este în echilibru și ea știe exact ce face. Primul lucru pe care l-am observat, de exemplu, am văzut un măr acolo pe care s-a suit un vârf. Și prima tendință a fost primul lucru pe care să-l facem, să dăm vârful la jos de acolo, că uite cum ne-a invadat mărul. Ce înseamnă asta? Adică nu se fac lucrurile. Vârful ăla a ajuns acolo până în timp.
Vârful măr este medicinal. Dar nu pentru măr. Dar nu pentru măr.
Ok.
Și pentru tine.
Ok.
Da. Pentru voi.
De asta am auzit că eu
în orice gospodărie, plantele vin, pentru fiecare orice gospodărie are farmacia ei incluse. Voi o să aveți farmacia voastră fix pe nevoile voastre fiziologice și emoționale. Deci plantele vin în curtea voastră fix pe nevoia voastră. Dacă suntem vecini, gat în gat, la mine plantele vor viață.
Atât de profundă este legătura dintre noi încât planta și pământul pe care tu trăiești, tu identifică ție nevoile și se dezvoltă cu
o altă chestie. Da, o altă chestie. Folosiți toată ideea asta de a îmbogăți terenul medicinal la nivel fizic, material. Tot ce scoateți din organism afară, nu dați la gunoi. Folosiți-l în grădină și informația genetică ce iese de acolo, în combinație cu tehnicile din pământ, care sunt tehnice care zac acolo de 50-100 de ani și n-au ieșit, pentru că nu au avut pentru ce să iasă. Și omul care vine și își aruncă nevoile, tot ceea ce e curat, și identifică o boală, identifică o chestie și îți iese imediat. În raport cu ceea ce lipsurile, mineralele lipsă din organism și absolut tot, lăsate în pământ, anul viitor o să vedeți ce să am nevoie pentru picat, pentru chele, pentru rinic, pentru vedere.
O metodă ar mai fi semințele genetice. ADN-ul se transmite. Adică planta să identifice ce lipsere aici, atunci poate are vitamina D.
Asta durează mai mult, pentru că va trebui să iei fiecare și să stai prin grădină cu punga de echinacia sau cu pătlatină.
Deci acum înțeleg de ce la țară se scuipă pe sus.
Să înțeleg că e un motiv anume pentru care toată valea mea e plină de mărită, nu mamă. I don't know, just asking. Just asking. Este invaziune, I don't know. Just asking. E o relație de mine și foarte I don't know, nu știu, așa zice. El a zis că e o relație, poate că un mesaj acolo, subtil.
Nu doar mesaj, dacă vrei să te mări sau nu, asta este alegerea ta. Ea apare acolo, ea apare an de an acolo și spune, mărite-te, mărite-te.
Dincolo era mai...
Păi zice mărite-te, e sensuală.
Poate că... Nu știu și știi ce e.
Ai activat. Good luck.
Good luck. Your responsibility.
Da.
Următorul speaker, povestitor.
Până ce se concentrează, de exemplu, pe subiectul ăsta, că mi se pare foarte interesant ce mi-ai spus. Există o carte din care putem să aflăm mai multe.
Pe care
ok, deci asta lucrează la ea.
Acei oameni bătrâni din sat.
Nu,
Am găsit-o în cartea în Anastasia. Da, acolo zicea.
Am încercat să citesc ceea ce da nervos.
Nu, practic mă refeream mai degrabă la comunicarea colectivă de văzută dintre om și mediul care îl înconjoară, practic.
Dar nu la semnală.
Presupune că vorbesc aceeași limbă cu tine.
Găsești în alte state. Stai cu ei, vă gândește-te și povestesc că vedeați eu și tot. Așa scuze. Da. Da? Vrei să vin acolo? Acolo e...
mulțumesc.
I will speak in Dutch. Is that okay?
In Dacian.
So I will speak in Spanish.
In Dacian.
Hungarian. I will speak in Hungarian.
No, no.
Este un mat.
Eu la pot chivara?
E băgat în priză?
Din care cerealele sunt filmate din toate locurile. O să vii?
I will speak in English, so it's
Come on, Mom.
Yep.
for everybody okay? Yes. So I know that the subject for today is like permaculture and integration of permaculture in our daily life. I must say, it's my perspective, my own way of seeing things. I'm not a big fan of the word permaculture. I grew up in a village. I studied. I also lived in cities, and then I came back to villages. And for me, I would say I would call it rather traditional agriculture, like archaic agriculture. And I'm learning this permaculture system from my neighbors. From my neighbor he's called Janusz Baci, he's over 85. I'm learning permaculture from him. He's doing permaculture since he's a child. I mean, in my perspective, if we are to speak about this subject, it's if you want to learn about truly living in a harmony with the nature and building your own sustainable farm, look at the elderly people in your village, if you are living in a village or near a village, because they understand the region, they understand how things are working, they understand and they know exactly what plant is growing in that village, in that place that you also chose. So they are the best teachers that we can have. And most of them, especially the older ones, they still are not friends with the modern techniques of like weed, sorry, I forgot the English word. So if we want to fight weeds, nowadays even in villages many people use chemicals. But the elderly people don't use it because they are used to work on the farm, they are used to work with the hands, and they love it. They don't know anything else. They know that very well. So I think it's a very good way of, especially for people who moved like recently to villages, to look how the neighbors are doing the things, because they are there since always, and they understand the region, they understand the earth, they understand which plant is growing in which part of the garden better. They can even tell you in your own garden because they know the garden that you bought, because they grew up with the people that had it. So that's one way of seeing things. Like in permaculture, you don't maybe need like to take courses or something. Just learn and just be friendly with your neighbors, with the older neighbors, and learn from them. I think that's the best way to learn permaculture in the real sense of the word. Especially because nobody from outside can come and tell you to make a permaculture design in your own village, because they don't know what it actually grows there, how the winter is there, how the soil is there, how the water quality is there, but the people in the village. So this is just a parenthesis about the subject of permaculture from my own perspective. And Marianne told a lot about this philosophy of living in harmony with nature, and I want to talk more about the practicality of how we can do that. Another thing that I'm a big fan of, as I also mentioned before, I'm a restorator and conservator for heritage, and especially working on restoring and preserving traditional houses and farms, but also like churches and also other kind of heritage buildings. But especially I'm trying to teach people and to show them how to properly restore the old building when they buy, for example, because this is a bit of fashion in nowadays, maybe not fashion, it's maybe the wrong word, but it is a fashion to move back in the village, and it's a good movement actually for younger people to move back in the village. But what many of people don't know is, okay, you buy other land, okay, then you build your own house, you use the local materials as much as you can. But if you buy a farm, many people do the mistake, it's that the first killer of like a permaculture living style is to modernize the building because you think it will not fit your needs of our days, like for example with the bathroom. You take her home and you play with her home style, okay?
On your time.
On your time.
It's distracting her.
Okay.
I've had a dog that she was like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, for people who bought a house in a village, try to see what materials they were used, try to reuse those, and think about also the house, not only about the garden and the nature, because the house is part of it. And probably you saw that traditional houses in the villages, they are also made in a harmony with the nature from around. That's why we have so many styles. It's not only like a human cultural thing, it also has to do with the nature and with the materials that the nature offered in that region. For example, you have regions where I come from near Mureș, that the old traditional houses, they are made of clay and earth. And there are so many techniques. They are like, in my village, there are like 5 or 6 different techniques of working with earth to build a house. Now where I live, it's a more some mountain area with a lot of forest. So of course, the houses are made either of stone or of wood. And nowadays, for example, I have a neighbor, a young guy who bought some land there and he built a house. And because building with natural materials is not so easy, he started building with modern materials. Originally also maybe natural, but not really. And the house looks like shit. It doesn't fit with the whole, like, it changed the whole, the whole dynamic, and, it's the feng shui of the village. It's a bit disturbed. And it's also our duty to be careful also on this perspective, on this part of the heritage, not also the natural heritage of the place, not to change it with some very new ideas and so on. I'm not against permaculture, but I'm very pro looking and doing traditional type of farming, like it was already done in this village by the elderly people. Also, if there is no possibility to plant some sort of trees, even if the permaculture system, they say it's good to plant those because you need them for I don't know what, you don't need to do that necessarily if it doesn't fit to the region where you are. It's very, very important because sometimes when we are trying to do good, we actually also can do very bad, and especially for the next generations, because we can really damage. It's the same like when we want to modify or we want to renovate a building, a traditional old building, with modern materials to make it, livable for our daily, for our modern society or for our modern needs. Very often it happens that we actually destroy. It's like we destroy also very old orchards just because it doesn't fit our modern plan of. So yeah, I did want to. If you have some questions, or maybe I didn't go on out in this subject, or maybe too much.
May I? I'll make a specification if that's okay. The way I understood permaculture is all about integration, adaptation, observation. So it's not, maybe the permaculture is, as far as I know, the permaculture concept started all over the world and inspired these two people, Bill Mollison and Holmgren. Yeah, okay. Yeah, inspired these guys to just like take all that information and put it under one umbrella called permaculture. And but it boils down to the fact that you go in the environment and you do observation. You observe the people, you talk to the people in their town, you observe the natural vegetation, you observe what grows, what you need in order to survive in a certain space. And if somebody applies permaculture, that's what it does. If people come in and do permaculture because they think it's a modern thing, then that's not permaculture. That's something else. It's not. I don't think it's something else. It's like, pardon?
hipsters. In America, we call them hipsters. Yeah,
calling them hipsters.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's not only that. It's I mean, from what I've seen, I was working on some project that we actually had to repair what some
people
really permaculture ideas did. And it didn't fit to the ecological point of view.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm also working very hard in this, also with collaboration with ecologist professors. And we find very often this situation that, you know, as I said, sometimes we try to do good, but we actually don't do good because it didn't go deep enough and more broad. We went a bit too narrow with the perspective of doing things, and then we didn't see the other perspectives or the other parts of, for example, in permaculture, for example, like ecology and botany. Because sometimes when you include something new, and because maybe you think you need, for example, you have like a slope that is really bad and you have to fix it somehow. So what do you choose some of the plants that they can fix the earth, but they are damaging the local biodiversity in such a way that sometimes you can't make it again. You know, you can't repair it again. And what I wanted to say, I'm not attacking permaculture.
No,
what I want
not
to say is that when we move to a village, which is more and more often, and I hope this movement will be more, will happen more, a lot more than in the last years. It's very important that we actually take as teachers the people in the village, the elderly people, and not someone from outside who comes there tell you what to do in your garden. Because these people, they know the best. They understand. They are the soul of that place, especially the older people. Maybe the younger, not, because they come sometimes, they go abroad to work and they come with some new ideas and they cut things out. But the older people, they are the best teachers when we want to truly learn about the specific place and we want to do something good there and learn from them.
Yeah, yes, maybe it depends on the older people. My grandmother that lived through like World War II and they were eaten by fleas. At this point, it's like, give me as many chemicals as you want. I want more chemicals because I'm tired of being eaten. And she has an obsession of being. So it depends. And then, no, it's not that she's crazy or anything. It's just that you find a lot of older people that have that perception in which they
want an easier life.
I
think because they want an easier life, you know, they want a washing machine, or they want to use something that makes clean easier than something natural.
She's lived in the countryside all their life. She doesn't want indoor plumbing because she's afraid she's gonna leave the water on for too long and she's gonna flood the house. So she's like super traditional. You cannot find more traditional than that. And traditional for her means give me as many chemicals, please do. I don't like worms in my apples. I want to spray the apple tree. The garden cannot be fixed unless you have what is that? A sapo? How do you call sapo? Like you cannot do gardening without sapo. You know, it's like grandma, but I don't want to dig out all the weeds. The weeds maybe there, some of them are good. No, it needs to be cleaned. If it's not cleaned, it's not right. And she's not the only person that I've spoken to, and that's my interaction with. Maybe I should. I'll say when I speak. Actually, you're right. Like my interaction with conventional agriculture, my interaction with the people in that world is that they are the majority, and that's how they think. And it's not that easy. It's not that easy. We could be like, oh yeah, don't use chemicals, don't do that, do it this way, do it this other way. But we really have to find really good reasons for people to follow this path. Because up till now, conventional agriculture describes almost traditional agriculture, as far as like my grandparents goes, as far as like a lot of the people, and maybe because I live in a certain region. So I was born in Brăila, I was born in the Bărăgan Valley, right? So they did a lot of conventional agriculture over there. Communism,
for a very long time.
For a very long time. So they've done this, and that's the mentality that's there. So that's like, as a permaculture person, and I'm a permaculture, I'm like completely sold to it. This is what I'm doing. This is I talk about life goals, becoming your own life, right? This is what I'm doing. This is my life. My life is to prove that we can make it, right? With natural practices. But that's what I hit there. I hit like a huge wall of conventionality. And it's my grandmother, it's the people I've learned and I've grown to love and trust, and they keep telling me I'm doing it wrong.
I think there is sorry that you have
We all come from different places.
I was also not generalizing. I know that there are other people that they see them spraying their apple pieces on the floors.
Yeah.
But we don't need to learn from them.
Yeah, but then how do we pick the ones that are wiser?
You will feel it. You will
yeah,
know.
Absolutely.
Because
I know.
Someone is trying to tell you like, no, you have to play with that and that. You know for sure that no, you don't listen to them. But maybe some of these ones they also have really good ideas that we should listen to.
Yeah,
because not everything that they do is bad.
That was one of my follow-up questions. How do you personally deal with people, if you have any people like that? Because I'm pretty connected to the countryside in Moldova and in Transylvania. I know examples of both. And more towards, we're not going to do traditional anything, like just give us all of the machinery and everything because we're dirt poor. We don't have time to think about, harmony and things, although that's kind of our nature, especially as a name. So then maybe how do you deal with such people personally?
And in a funny way. For example, in the first week when I used to live up to 2 years ago, we had these neighbors and they were doing half conventional agriculture, half ecological, traditional agriculture and lifestyle. The lifestyle was completely traditional and in old style, but they had some because they were watching TV all the time in the evening and they were watching Agro today. So they were looking at these ideas of spraying or putting whatever to get rid of the weeds. And my ex-husband said, let's put dry grass so to cover the earth so that we don't have weeds so much. And then the neighbors they were looking, coming, and then the old guy said this was my father was doing. We were doing this also when we were young. I said, it's a really good idea. Why don't you still do it? Well, we need the hay for the animals. And then they were yeah, but it's so much work. It's better to spray. But not even 2 months later, what did we see? They also came back to the same thing. He said that they were doing also that. Their father was doing that. The parents, they were doing that when they were children because it's a very good way also to keep moisture in the ground. So we knew that because I also learned that from my grandmother. He learned that from different projects, modern projects, but also from the traditional, from the elderly people in other villages. And we put that in practice. And the people who lost that came back to this practice. And now they still spray some of the things because they got quite old and ill and they can't really work the land so much anymore. But they are also doing things that they are very fine work. They are putting the hay on the they are much. Yeah. So I mean, and then other people, for example, there are also a movement that people who maybe grew up in the village move to cities, they work, and then when they get to rent in the pension, they can move back to the village. But they move back with modern perspectives. They change the old roof with some metal roof. They put plumbing and they isolated the beautiful old traditional house with some polystyrene. And they are starting to do agriculture, but just conventional. And they are very more we are more than we are spraying. And I had situations that people came to me with all sorts of illnesses and allergies and so on. And then I was looking at them and I said, I know from where that comes. I said, no, please tell me, I'm desperate. I said, there is these substances that people use in agriculture. And they are damaging, they can even produce cancer. I was I'm shocking. Really? Okay, I'm not using that anymore. Some of them it worked, with some of them of course not. But
with the power of example. If you show them that like old ways, you put them back into motion, and if they see someone young still choosing not the modern ways but the old traditional ways, also these people who are in their 60s, 70s, sometimes they do look at you and they the next year you see that they also try that. They see that they also put like tomatoes with other plants together because they saw it in your garden, but you also saw it in your great grandmother's garden maybe, and things they can change back, they can remove back, they can come back to life.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of pain in the end sometimes to convince them, and many people make the mistake to have fights with the neighbors about that. But I think with the power of example, we can achieve this. Also, to these people, we change the way of change to a conventional agricultural farming. We can still do that, and even in our days, because the movement it's more and more towards ecology and towards like sustainability and more healthy food. They also like slowly start to come back to that. I see that in both of the villages that I do. I see this really, really strongly. Actually, people really go back to the old ways. They had enough of this. You know, it's this. They know that it's easier, but the other one stays better. They are nicer, you know, and the earth is better. They are afraid that they lose the rest of the land because they did so much like conventional agriculture that they are coming back to the traditional one, to the ecological one, because they almost are remaining without land, like what happened to Baragan, which is really hard to bring that biodiversity in a land that is almost sand.
Yeah, pardon me if I may say, I have a very funny neighbor, and I was preparing my permaculture garden, which was just like a semi-raised bed from downside. He's like, oh, this is nothing compared to what he does. But my neighbor poked his head over the fence. He was like, what are you doing over there, Martha? And I was like, I'm preparing my bed. I was with a broad fork, just working really hard, sweating. He's like, oh, so why are you doing that way? It's like, well, this is the way it's done in my world. It's like, oh, your world, okay. So yeah, sometimes it's just goes back to that. Like, oh, your world.
How are they called these ugly snails? You know?
Slugs?
The slugs. They don't really go on the high beds. I have high beds.
Yeah, they do.
Really?
They do. They eat everything.
I don't have that problem at all with my high beds. Only with the lower ones.
They raise to the ground everything
Really?
in my garden when I have them.
Depends on the humidity from the area.
I have a lot of humidity in my area.
Yeah,
So
but
many
maybe on the top, it's more sunlight and.
What do you have your frame out of?
Shadow, I don't know.
What do you have your frame out of?
Huh?
What do you have your frame? Your
Wood.
Wood?
Yeah, just plants.
That's interesting.
And they don't really manage to climb up. They don't really manage to climb up. And my neighbors who in the village, some people who have also gardens, and they are like fighting, Raluca, we don't know what to do. What do you think? So make raised beds. But it will dry the plants if you make raised beds. No, I said the opposite actually.
It depends.
Depends. I know. But I told them like how I would do it. And they went, and then I saw them in the forest, like taking all these like trunks, little sticks, and they made high beds. And they're like, look at the something like this.
Yeah, the power of example is the best solution to.
I mean, I'm also learning a lot from them because they have some really good ideas of some stuff that I don't know how to do. And I'm looking at them how they do it.
I was raised in a community, so all the people on the street knows me. And when I started doing permaculture, they were looking like, "What are you doing there? You are playing."
Playing the playing.
Yeah,
thing,
that's a playing part. And then I started talking about the importance of snakes because when I was a kid, I saw my neighbors coming into my garden and with forks. There is a snake here. Where? In your garden. Okay, let's kill it. And then I was telling them, now you have more problems, because there are no more snakes to kill the babies. And I'm talking with them about this. Then later, on Antena Satellite, we were talking about something like that. Oh, you were right. 3 years later.
My mom does the same.
Yeah.
The thing with the snakes, by the way, I heard a really nice friend of mine, maybe you know him, Tibor Hartel, the ecologist from Cluj.
professor, Libor Hartel. It's really good. And he was also talking about this, the idea of the fear of snakes that people have. Is when you see a snake, you want to kill it, and you take something to kill it. The funny part is, it's not only us as species that we are afraid of things that they move like that.
Oh.
Horses do that too. Dogs do that too. Cats. Everybody's afraid of things that they move on the earth. And for example, horses, when they see a snake, they try to kill it too.
Yeah,
It's really funny.
because of the movement. The movement, exactly.
Movement or
They cannot predict the movement of a snake, especially
yeah, and
when
also
you have
the
4
insects
legs.
because they are so low, and it's like, whoa.
Surprise.
Yeah, maybe also that.
But the best part in Romania, we have just 2 types of things. Just few and
Yeah, but one is completely dead. These
yeah, the viper.
the viper with the ball.
Yeah, but
Hard for them.
Probably two different types of like horn. The one with the horn and the one without.
I'm more afraid of the toxic plants we have in Romania because they are very easy to confuse with
Toxic
characters.
plants,
Yeah, they have like really hard
Toxic what?
but they are easily confusing.
That you can
I'm
confuse.
not into toxic guys.
You have nothing to them.
The toxic guys.
Wild garlic? Wild garlic? No, wild carrot.
Wild
Wild
carrots.
carrot,
Those are
yeah,
some
that's
of the most popular.
No, not wild carrot. It's an amazing plant.
Oh, yeah. The one that
But it's
resembles
very
the wild
close.
carrot.
But the ones that
It's
they are
very close
resembled
to-
from the same family, they are two we have in Romania. They are one is more deadly than the other.
Queen Anne's Lace.
And those create also rashes, right? If you touch as far as I know.
Only to some people,
Yeah.
but they have a brother from Ukraine that makes rashes. For example, children they used to play with the stem or to look through, and they got blind, and they got the lips off.
But also, if you walk every day to school through a field of hemlock, which we had this
Yeah.
spring,
Yeah,
you
it
really
can-
wanna do this because if the pollen is everywhere, then it might mingle with your breath. Hemlock e cucută.
Un moment, vă spun
It's
It's a poisonous plant.
and it's very close. The flower looks very close to wild carrot. It's white with lots of little flowers.
Yeah.
The stem has like red dots, no?
Not very visible. One of them, yeah, but not very visible. I've been once to a center, the educational center, and they were collecting yarrow. That was not yarrow. Only a few of them they were yarrow, a few of them they were wild carrot, and the rest they were all hemlock. And like, let's make a yarrow tea.
Oh no.
Please learn your plants.
I think if you want to learn about plants, it's very important to learn the toxic plants first.
There are too many.
Yes, but at least the ones that are
Wild
more or
carrot's a
less
dangerous family.
common.
But more
Don't be the guy that eats the muffins.
yeah, the
Each plant you can eat it once, like the mushrooms.
Actually, I think plants in Romania, toxic plants are more toxic than toxic mushrooms. We have much more toxic plants than toxic deadly mushrooms.
No, we have one deadly mushroom, which is
Yes,
which is hard for Amanita phagoides. Yes, which is harder than the hemlock because the hemlock it would at the point you would fall asleep and die. Weird,
Somehow
but with the mushroom, it's like hard for
death.
You don't recommend? Okay. I don't recommend.
I use just
Don't try it.
Cucumbers,
tomatoes.
Yes. Yeah, it's still red, so.
Oh.
And they are not blind. Mushrooms.
How you do? You said that some of you are living, you move like freshly or more or less freshly in villages. How do you find your relationship with your neighbors and with the villagers? Do you get along? Even if you maybe don't agree with their lifestyle or with what they do you like try to live in a harmony, or do you have some situationships or problems with them?
I can answer to that because it's funny. On one side, there is basically no relation between me and the villagers because one, they all speak Hungarian, which I'm not, and they basically live at either 3 kilometers from me or at 5 kilometers from me. But at one point, I remember a villager that speaks Romanian, so it happens. So it comes to my house. My house is made out of mud. It's all made out of round rooms. And he comes into the house and he looks. He sees windows and door and the roof beam and the clay plaster. He says, "Yeah, yes, but when do you build a house?" So take as you wish.
That's a shelter.
I don't know how they see it, but I remember when I went to the mayor office because they accepted me to have a number for my house, and he said he needs a plan to add it to the registry in the mayor office, and I give the plan to the house, and it was just circles, and the guy takes the papers. Huh? Oh, 55 square meters. Oh, okay. 55 square meters. He couldn't understand where up and down came on that piece of paper. No, probably he thought it's a portrait of Mickey Mouse or something.
Yeah. Was that what you were going for when you built the house?
Somebody asked me that actually.
There must be something there.
Yeah, I live in the center of town, but the town is 20 houses. So,
what is the name of the village?
Village. No. I was actually trying to keep it more like hush, but Tudor is like
it's public.
What is it? It's in Brasov, County. It's
Păi nu văd.
like northwest Brasov County. And it's rolling hills. It's really pretty. It's a gorgeous area.
You have harsh winters there, no?
That's what everybody says. There's nowhere with harsh winters in our days. So, like, don't be afraid of harsh winters. They don't happen anymore.
Yes, maybe you're not even there, probably.
Yeah. So I'm the center of town. Everything I do, everybody knows. The mayor knew about me before I knew about the mayor. Then everybody knows that I'm a hardworking female, in particular, a lone female in the woods. This tiny town. Most of the time they feel sorry for me. Many times they get amused by the things in the projects I start. But yeah, I have good relationships with them, most of them. Some of them are a little paranoid because they lived alone for a long time, so they accuse me of very strange things, and they stop talking. Usually one female.
What are the strange things?
That I tossed plastic flower in their garden. And they didn't want to talk to me.
He doesn't have plastic flowers, but
like I really dislike plastic flowers, but she was like, "You did this to me." It's like, what? No. Okay, cool. So she stopped talking to me, and I got upset. I was like, you know what? I don't need this. Peace out. So that's the person I don't speak with. They don't speak with me, and we're like 20 people in total, so it's kind of odd. Like everybody knows we don't communicate.
In every village, people don't speak with each other. They hate each other. They love each other. They hate each other. They love each other. And then after some years, they hate each other. They love each other. They marry each other. They divorce each other. They hate each other.
Yeah.
It's the dynamic of any village.
The village life. Yeah, it's all full of gossip and collaboration.
You should ask for that flower back.
Yeah. Like, can I have that back? Whatever.
10 years later.
Yeah.
And then, okay, come for a coffee, let's talk.
No. She's a little out there, and I'm going to leave it as it is.
I can add to that also. Most villagers do not know me because since we don't speak the same language, but they know there is a Romanian in the forest. So usually, yes, usually they speak when they speak about me, they speak about the Romanian, the crazy Romanian. And at one point, several years ago, I was going towards the house. So then I didn't have a bike, so I had to walk for 5 kilometers with my backpack with groceries and stuff. and I met a gypsy woman, and she asked me, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home." And where is home? I said, "Well, that way in the forest." Oh my God! Even if you pay me, I will not live there. People are usually somehow afraid in there of nature, of animals, of everything. So even though they go and pick mushrooms, for example, they just pick mushrooms from the edge of the forest. They never go into the forest like deeply because they are, I don't know, bears like, I don't know. As far as I heard, a bear should have something like 10 square kilometers as his
No, like 5
range.
hectares.
What?
Around 5 hectares.
Okay, 5 hectares. Well,
Lima.
okay, we have 10 times more than that as a fact. So I have something like 3 bears around my house. One, I called it Shawnee. Probably it is a female because it has 2 cubs, but whatever. I named her before.
So the villages have a Romanian nearby, and the Romanian has a bear called Hungarian.
Yes.
Because he's local.
Yes. So I have bears, but I don't care. I'm friends with bears. They are all like, "Oh, I will not live there because I'm afraid of bears." So they don't go in the forest because of bears.
I can add a little bit from the perspective of having parents who are in the generation that you mentioned. They move back and then they fix all the plumbing and then they have a new rooftop and everything. What I find interesting is that, so I'm talking about the Transylvanian part of my roots. They're very close to Dij. The amazing part is that there we still have seeds. By the way, if you're ever interested, there's some amazing strawberry seeds from way back, like literally forgotten, and they still taste like insanely great. They're just like super small. They grow every year. They're great. They have a lot of seeds. There's some ones that you say. But the thing is, so they're really in between. Because for a part, they love to watch YouTube videos. So I think this is also maybe winter for people who want to spread the knowledge that YouTube is growing. So even old people, they usually, like my dad, he didn't know how to put up, I don't know, the vineyards or whatever. And then he was just like watching everybody that was giving techniques and everything. So maybe that's a good way to create more space.
We live in a very digital world, so we can make space out of it.
But their neighbors look at them very funnily because they're like exactly like what I was saying from the generation of we're doing things in one way and you're coming with the more traditional, because they're like, why? They literally had fights with my neighbors because the neighbors were saying, why aren't you using pesticides for your things?
Use Total. It's perfectly safe.
Total.
This is what it is called, at least what my neighbors say.
And my parents were very adamant about the fact that they wanted the vegetables clean and the soil is very rich. They don't need to do much.
But Total is safe.
They pay you to come.
This is what they tell me. Seriously, they told me a lot of times. Use it. It will kill all the weeds. It's perfectly safe.
No, but that's why I was talking about the mentality, because in their mind, it's not necessarily about. For example, it's not about the profit. They don't go to the market and make billions of dollars with their papers.
Just hundreds of thousands.
But no, it's more about they don't want to work. They don't want to put in that thing that is not for free. Basically, like treating nature as equal. Or these kind of things. They're more like, I want to work the least. I want to watch my soap operas on whatever channels I catch. So then they don't put the effort, and then it's an interesting mix of people going back and trying to be more like have better intentions, I would say, than people who are used to things and they just value.
There are very fine lines. Maybe some of us are just lucky to have good examples when we choose to live in a village, and maybe some not so much.
I don't have an example.
Bad and good. The good one was the place near Brazil, by the factory, where I have the urban garden. There, I left since I was a kid. I was living there, so everybody knows me, so it's much easier to talk with people. And the new place next to the mountains, the place that I bought. And the first, I didn't know the neighbors. I didn't know how they look. Where can I find them? Because it's outside the village, the place. And I started by myself, asking a friend of mine to put me the coordinates and GPS, so I know where I should build the fence. And I started building the fence, and the people were talking in the church. And I was meeting all my neighbors just in front of my gate because they have problems with the fence that I built. Because I just took I don't know 30 centimeters from their side, 40 centimeters, and they were trying to get more land because I knew. So they were trying. So they were trying to move that, and there was like a big oak, I don't know, 6 years old oak tree, and they said no, the oak is on your outside, but you can see the straight line that is like that. No, the fence should be after the oak.
So
And
the
then
line is just like that.
yeah, exactly. So it's the line like this, and then the oak is like that, and then it continues straight. No? And they were talking at the mayor office. They bring their topographic man, so they were trying to see if the coordinates are okay, and they were okay. So the people, they still are not my neighbors. They are still not pleased by the fence. I said, I will not cut anything from the fence, but I want to build the fence so the guys with the sheep and the goats, they will not come because it's a big problem there. The shepherds, they don't have like people, persons. So instead of going through the mountains, they just go around the village, circles until there is nothing left there.
Yeah.
So I had to build the fence.
Yeah. Over everything. We have a problem too. Our problem is with dogs. Dogs.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
three sheep herds around. All of them are owned by the same family, just different brothers. One is like to the east, one is to the west, and one is to the northwest. And something like that. And the thing is that each has like 10 dogs per herd,
Exactly.
which they don't keep contained at any point in time.
They don't feed them. That's the problem always.
How could they feed 10 dogs? They would have to cut down half of the herd in one season in order to feed.
Your
answer.
I wish
Also,
it's a strategy to keep them hungry.
What?
It's a strategy
Yeah.
to keep them hungry. If they are well fed, they want to protect the herd.
Yeah.
If you are hungry, you go to when do you have something, I don't know, a bear or.
That's a theory.
That's a theory.
Yes and no.
My dogs are well fed and they are very.
Yeah.
Also, they can't afford to feed them.
Yes.
But the problem is that if they don't really feed them, they also start killing the sheep.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
And my chickens.
And other dogs.
And my chickens and other dogs.
Yeah.
And the rabbits or all the small wild animals.
I got 20 of them that run as one giant pack in my world.
Yeah. They run around like they're dogs. There are more dogs than people in that town.
I can tell
Totally,
you,
like 5 times more dogs than people in
a
that
pack
town.
of wild dogs is the most dangerous thing in Romania. There's
Jackal.
nothing more dangerous.
Jackal.
Yeah, because they know people and they're not afraid of them.
It's like you prefer to meet a bear, huh?
I can tell you what,
Sometimes, yeah.
the bear don't want to meet 20 dogs.
Yeah.
No.
They don't.
What's that say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous thing in Romania. a pack of
Yeah, and
20
you see
dogs.
when you, I drove a few times on the main roads because it's like the land of the dogs. So walking on the main road is like, no, we're not gonna do that. I don't walk around without a giant stick near me. That's how I go in the forest with a stick, as if the stick would actually save me. But at least I have that illusion, you know.
It's great.
Yeah, I could
No,
use
electric shock.
electric shock.
Oh,
so
they
I-
are the.
But you
they have
electric
30
shock
dogs
one
if
of
you
them,
want.
and then they bite your hand off, and then
No,
electric
no.
shock.
I only
It's
saw
not that terrible. No, it's not that scary, to be fair. But it is a concern, and we have to be aware of that. And we have to be aware of that when we have our own animals. We have to be aware of that. So they don't attack people. It's not like actively going out and hunting people. No, that's not something that
At
happens.
least you didn't find it.
Not yet.
Shut up. Shut up. But it is a problem. So that's the neighbors. Well, the shepherds usually have the law of the land, right, in their hands.
Yeah.
Hold it tight. It's their land.
And they're ruling with the axe and with the stick.
Doesn't work.
Baltagul.
They are cutting for my forest. I have to kill them.
Yeah, village life is not necessarily an easy life, but also with all these things, it's also still.
I wouldn't change it
the
for
best.
anything. Yeah. No.
I also had the land problem with a neighbor. I was digging a hole in the back of my house, and he came like red on the face, prepared for a fight. I'm also living in a completely Hungarian village. I'm the only not Hungarian. I'm not called the Romanian. I'm called the lady of the forest. There is a saying in Hungarian for women who are working with medicinal plants. So I'm the lady of the forest.
Nice.
Something like that. And so this neighbor came to have a fight with me because he was sure that I made a hole in his land. And I was like, really? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's look in the papers. The papers show that it's my land. He was not very keen. And the only solution that I found so that I don't have problems with him, I called the owner of the house, owner who lived there before, so from who I bought.
Owner.
And they had their whatever on the phone. And then like half an hour later, he came to me with a bottle of Palinka. So no, it's not your fault. But and now we are very good friends. He wants to offer me more land for free, just to take if I need wood, because there is a forest right in the back of my house, and that belongs to him. And now he said, Raluco, if you want wood, here, there, wood, you take. And when I remember him, like with the red face, like with that, he wanted to fight, and it reminded me of your situation with your neighbors with the fence, And now he's like, hey, don't you want some wood for free? I think he has a bit of bad conscience, I don't know, but it's very funny.
I still won't take wood from him.
No, I'm not. I told him that I know,
Nothing
but he's like
wrong.
almost begging for me. I don't think he wants to make problems in the future because he's very old. But he realized it was not a very good approach for someone new there to come with the red face and like with the fist that's my land, just dig a hole in my land.
He tried,
didn't. It's not really working with me to have fights with my neighbors.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing when you are buying the land and you want to settle somewhere, you should do some research.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like search for the neighbors.
But in the end, everybody's actually, even in the villages, people are actually good. They just are frustrated sometimes, and they sometimes try to find someone to get the frustration on.
And the new one is the easiest.
And the new one, but if you see them that they also have fights and they don't talk for years with another neighbor, it's like everywhere. It's the same. Even in a family, we have that. I don't know, with the mother, with the cousin, or whatever. But the important thing is to leave it from yourself and just, not to search for that or to try to understand them, because in the end, they're not really mean. They're just maybe frustrated with their own life and they don't know other things. And of course, a newcomer is the highlight. And they all watch and they all comment and criticize. And then you can feel like, they talk about me, Like the saying, better to talk bad than not to talk at all. At least they care.
Usually they are talking with church. And then there is a new guy
really,
there.
another thing that I saw like a good week is to ask them for opinions. Oh, they love that. They love that. Then you are their best friend if you ask them for opinions, because nobody else, they don't ask for each other.
If you are asking for
they
advice,
steal ideas, but they don't ask. So just ask for an opinion.
if you are asking for advice, they will gladly offer.
Oh yeah, they love that. Yeah.
And many that doesn't have any.
Maybe you can like do a bit if it's something good idea. Yeah, village life. Huh? So sorry, I changed this to group discussion. I don't know who's next or.
Alexandra is next.
I just had a mom-son moment, and I need to, I need to come black on planet Earth, but I'm coming.
You're just making your entrance.
Yeah. I went away with the oh no, not Luca kind of mood, and now hey, I'm back.
I think. Do you want to go?
I'm trying to land.
Yes.
Or do I? I mean, I can go if you want to.
If
Take
it's
a
okay.
break.
You have to clear the stage. Yeah?
But Petro.
Oh no, I can go there. Yeah.
Thank you, Marta. Mulțumesc.
She loved it. She was part of the scenery.
And I have like small monsters.
Can't tell me to clear the stage.
Am avut așa o revelație că poate era un moment bun să vorbesc acum dacă tot sunt plină de emoție, dar cred că e ok. Sunt balanță, mă referesc mai greu.
La mulți ani, în curând. Așa. Despre ce să vorbesc eu? Aș putea să vorbesc despre diferențele între agricultură convențională și care sunt dificultățile în momentul în care se face tranziția. Aș putea să vorbesc despre... I'm trying to gauge the public, you know, that's what they sometimes say. Gauge the public. What are you most interested in? Do you want to talk about the difference between permaculture and conventional agriculture and see kind of like how to communicate and how to do transition yourself? Or do you want to talk about water availability? First. The first one. Oh, okay. You want to talk about the first one. So the conventional world, as far as I've noticed, the conventional agricultural world is a pretty tough world. So they will judge you, they will be cynical about it. They will poke holes in every single permaculture theory you have. And then you as a beginner, you're gonna have a lot of trials and errors. So first of all, you're gonna start a garden, you're gonna be like, oh, I read Masanobu Fukuoka, natural agriculture, that's what I did, natural agriculture. I went to my grandmother's house, on their land, they have about 1,000 meters square of land. And I said, I'm not going to plow this half of the field. My uncle plowed the other half of the field. So he put in there like corn and sunflowers. I put on mine everything I could find that was available in the store. So of course it was just like wild because I didn't plow, I didn't pull the weeds, I just let it all go wild because I wanted to see, are they really truthful in what they're complaining about in conventional agriculture or not. And it turns out that if you go in this land that has been worked by conventional agriculture for a very, very long time, you're going to run into all sorts of problems with pests and diseases because that is an unbalanced ecosystem. So you cannot go and expect to practice permaculture right away. You have to actually spend a bunch of time learning your system. You have to spend a bunch of time choosing the plants that you're going to put in there. And you have to spend a bunch of time changing people's minds because you're going to need people to work with. You're going to need people that support you. Because most of the time you're going to hear stuff like, no, you're wrong. Everything you do sounds stupid. You're just playing around. No, this is not how you do agriculture. And that's kind of like the transition from conventional to permaculture. If you have a loving family that still doesn't agree with you, but they still love you, eventually they will do however you say because whatever. But it was hard. So the first season, that's what it was. But I had the best zucchini in the whole town. I gave zucchini to absolutely everybody. I planted them early, planted them in February. I think I had, at the end of February, I had seedlings, so I put the seeds in, grew them myself with the lights inside. And it's best to plant zucchini early in the season because as soon as the temperatures rise, zucchini stops producing because they get filled with powdery mildew. That's what it's called, like that little powdery stuff. After that, the second year I was a little better because I kind of knew what it was about. I started controlling a little bit the environment instead of letting the tomatoes grow wild on the ground and being filled by that green tomato bug. It's a green tomato bug. It's like the nightmare of any organic farmer because if you live in an agricultural intensive zone and you don't treat with anything, then they just kind of like get over all your plants. They consume over 100 types of plants. They're really horrible pests, and the only way you can handle them as an organic farmer is you go and collect them by hand. So you grab, Bogdan also does this, you grab a little hand vacuum cleaner, and like you go every night. Sorry.
There is a plant that can help against that. I have that too. Datura.
Datura?
It's in the same family with the tomatoes. It's a deadly plant. You plant it next to your plants. All the insects go on that one.
Yeah, but you have to use it as a trap plant, so you still go there and you pick it up.
No, you don't need to. They go themselves. They don't choose the tomatoes. They don't choose the other plants. They choose this one because they love it. I don't know. It has some.
Okay, well, I'll try it. I'll poke holes in your theory. No worries. The thing is, it's not as easy because we are told in permaculture, oh, you can combine these plants, you can do this, and you can make them such that they collaborate until you reach a steady ecosystem with a dynamic equilibrium. It takes a long time and it takes a lot of discouragement. So when you start this, you have to be sure that that's what you want to do. So you want to make sure that your main priority is indeed protecting nature, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to protect nature. We're trying to integrate. We've been taught since we were kids that this is not our path. We want to have plumbing and like cement and surrounded by cement everywhere, happy cement, happy.
Want to be the conquerors of nature.
Yeah. So we're kind of a little bit going against the teachings of our parents and the teachings of society. So we really have to be determined and know exactly what our main goal is, such that independent of what happens and independent of the obstacles you're going to encounter in a society that tells you all the time you're wrong, you're going to keep picking this path. Because there are going to be so many moments in which you see your garden, it's like, oh, my garden is dying. It's July. At the end of July, it's a drought. Everything is dry. You couldn't handle the water availability because it's so hard to maintain irrigation during a drought. You need a lot of water. And you don't have a permaculture garden, so nothing is shaded. Everything is like like pulled. All the weeds are pulled because everybody tells you to pull all the weeds. So a lot of discouragement can happen. But with patience, determination, a clear goal, you can achieve a lot of things. This year, for the first time, I'll put in my calendar, sometime it was, I think, 12th of September, when my grandmother went in the garden and saw eggplants, saw the eggplants. They were growing so beautifully in a drought-prone area after a long period of drought. And she looks at the eggplant and says, maybe these weeds didn't harm it after all. I was like, oh my God! Ding, ding, ding! I could have pride in that moment because she's been my toughest critic. Yeah, because I work her land, so of course she's gonna come at me and be like, no, this is wrong, why are you doing this? And the heartbreaking part, she's 88 years old, so because she thinks I do something wrong in the garden, she's gonna go and try to do it herself. And then for about a week, she complains about how much her body hurts. So I'm like, oh, Grandma, just don't go out there. At some point, she stopped growing.
After 90.
Pardon?
After 90.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm at this point, I've done 2 years of organic agriculture on a farm, and I have to say I like organic agriculture. I think it's great. I think the use of plastics in organic agriculture are horrible and horrendous, and we should find different ways of doing it. Either we find plastics that are biodegradable, and that's great, or we just don't use it. We shy away from it, because if you say, oh, I'm doing organic agriculture and you're producing a mountain of plastic waste, you're just shifting the toxins from one place to another. It's just like that's not in my backyard type of mentality. So it's not really sustainable if you think about it. It's maybe sustainable from the standpoint of immediate health and what impact it has on your body in an immediate way, but all those plastics in the environment will have consequences that we're not fully aware of. So I've done 2 years of organic, 1.5 years. half a year of just selling veggies in the farmers markets. And that's really cool. The disadvantage of organic agriculture and certified as an organic agriculture producer is the prices, the costs are going through the roof. If you go at the farmers market and you buy bio, it's usually really expensive, like 2 to 3 times, 4 times more expensive. I think I saw some organic tomatoes being sold for like 40 lei per kilogram, something like that, while in the farmer's market it was like 4 lei per kilogram. So choosing the so-called better path, which is, I'm not fully convinced is the better path, it's still way too human focused. Choosing that better path has a lot of hurdles. So really, like inside of your heart, you need to know that this is what you want to do. And don't let yourself be convinced otherwise. Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart, and your heart will tell you. And that's where you're going to find the strength as well. When you're not going to have anybody that's going to be like, oh, good job. Oh my God, this is amazing. And most people are going to look at you and point fingers at you and be like, I don't know about this one. And that's the heart will be the only one that will actually speak from truth. Questions? And I do want to specify something about water because I think it's really cool. You have a garden, you have to think about water. There is no life without water. Water is life. So think about water storage. How can you store your rainwater? Rainwater is the best for plants. You have everything you need for plants. So you want to find a way to store rainwater and store it efficiently, because rainwater sitting for a long time turns toxic because it's going to be anoxic, like it's not going to have oxygen. It's like turns like static water, for stinky smells. It's probably not good for plants either. So you want to have water that somehow flows in the circuit. In permaculture, they say the best way to store water is in the soil. So that's why they do these swales. You go on your land and inspect it. Where does the water travel? You dig out trenches. Make sure you have a good system of directing the rainwater off of your house. Make sure you have a good storage system. As far as storage system, you have like cement cylinders, cement blocks, you have glass fiber tanks, you have plastic tanks. Glass fiber tanks, I think they're the best if you want to store rainwater for some purposes, like using it in the kitchen. If you use any sort of plastic tanks, make sure you cover them because you're going to have exposure to water, and that leaks a lot of plastics into the water, and you probably just use it for washing yourself, and that's it. You also want to think about well, if you have a well on your property, it's best to test your water if you have where to test it. If you don't have where to test it, try to combine rainwater with well water, because well water is known to be high in minerals. You have a lot of hard water, calcium carbonate in water, like makes those white deposits on top of all your pots and pans. So that is very tricky to use in your garden because with time you can actually increase toxicity of your system, particularly for drought-prone areas, because you're just going to keep adding this water. It's going to increase salinizare, and you can have increases of minerals, and that those are toxic for plants. What did I want to say? When you dig out a well, so look into your town for well diggers. Ask around everywhere. Prices go. I dug a well this year. It was 7.5 meters deep. It was 6,000 lei, and that's cheap. With everything, with like bringing the tubes, installing the tube, digging by hand. By the way, there were 3 people that dug by hand for 3 days. Impressive. You have to feed them, you have to give them beer, you have to talk to them nice. You cannot
move their earth afterwards.
Pardon?
Move their earth afterwards.
Oh yeah, and they left behind 8 cubic meters of dirt that I had to move around everywhere. So maybe a good way to do it is like plan this dirt ahead of time and just move it every day. So it's not just leaving it because it was like this pile of dirt that they kept moving their cylinders over. So the more they walked over it, the more they compressed. So that's, and then you have to deal with the cement, because all that cement will weaken your water. The best wells are done with rock, the way they did it in the past. They go like this rocky wall, but you cannot dig in that. You cannot make it deeper because it risks to crumble, to have all those rocks just crumble over you. So nobody's going to risk their lives for a well. So they're going to do like modern well digging practices. And that means cement cylinders that every time you put one on top of the other, it's going to compress it. Crumble a little bit of that cement, you're gonna have water with cement for a while. So you have to like take all the water out. I have 2 cubic meters of water now that I just have to flush it. And after that, you have to think about what wastewater. What do you do with your wastewater? Water is life. We get into an area, so the more this climate change happens, the more we have instability as far as climate goes, and we want to think about water in a very serious way. And wastewater can be used if you use biodegradable soaps of all sorts, biodegradable dishwasher, biodegradable. And look at the ingredients, because it can say biodegradable, but you've all heard of greenwashing, and you know that some people just write biodegradable there so they can up the price, double it or triple it or however they want to do it. So pay attention to what you're consuming on a daily basis, what you put on your body. I know some people that say if you cannot eat it, you probably shouldn't spread your face with it, or anything like that, any oils, any weird stuff. And then that wastewater can be treated. One of the best treatments is actually nature. Do like a little wasteland if you can, a pond, and let it expose to the sunlight. If you can do a filter as well and just run it through that filter over and over again. Filter can also be backwash, so you can clean out the filter afterwards. Okay, I'm done. Oh, and I do have one more thing to say. One of the things I want to mention, which I've noticed in Romania, and I'm like, why? I got this great training when I was in the United States about going out in nature, walking in nature, hiking in nature, and they also talked about going out in nature. Basically, your number 2 and your number 1s, your number 2. So if you're pooping in nature, just please dig a hole and poop in it and cover it. Don't leave it exposed. This is the grossest thing I've encountered here on many different areas in Romania, And I just want to propagate that information and pass it on, please. Bury your poop. It should be a big board or a billboard, even across the. Bury your poop. Bury the toilet paper as well. Don't just leave it hanging. Like, oh, I've been here. So when you go on the side of the road and you try to eat something because you've driven for 6 hours, you don't see a bunch of toilet paper around. Doesn't smell as bad. Doesn't transmit diseases. And your dog is not going to eat it, which is freaking fantastic.
When they lick your face.
When they lick whatever else. Yeah.
We all know that pretty well.
Anybody that owns a dog knows that very well. It's like one of my worst days was about that.
But they need that for the stomach.
Bury your poop. You can bury it with anything. You can use a stick if you don't want to bring. Usually they bring a little baggie. In the United States, they have their poop baggie. They have in that poop baggie a little shovel, tiny little shovel, gardening shovel with some toilet paper and a sanitizer. So everything you need. You put it on the side. Never touch it. You never need to touch anything on your poop. It goes in the cold, and then you cover it.
The poopy addition.
Poopy addition. I think it's valuable, very important.
Indeed. It's very high precious information. As I said before, you go to the nature and that's the genetic material that you put inside the nature to give them back.
But that doesn't mean it should be on the surface. Really in nature. The keyword was inside nature. What did you say, Bogdan? Sorry.
Well, at my place I don't have like a toilet.
Yeah.
So I choose like a TV side.
Oh yeah, so it just rolls down.
Just rolls and
I have another neighbor that said every time he would poop, he didn't have a toilet. So he would poop and it would be gone the following day because the dogs would come behind. So he would count on the local wildlife to
to get rid of it.
It's disgusting. Let's not do that. It's like spread diseases. Like if you go in a third world country, you do that, you just kill a whole town. It's not cool. I'm exaggerating, obviously.
That's a shitty problem.
Pardon?
It's a shitty problem.
It's a shitty problem.
Now if you have to educate
Not about food.
Yeah.
We're moving on from the food. I'm actually curious about one thing. So one thing that I do study is artificial rainfall.
Yeah.
So my question is if you have handled that topic anywhere in your experience?
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard about artificial rainfall when I was doing my studies.
You are
Environmental
referring to
engineering.
cloud seeding?
Chemtrails.
Okay.
Environmental engineering. Yeah, I heard something about it. Something about using these nanoparticles as nuclei for cloud
Silver iodine.
condensation, right? So
Silver iodine usually.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know more than that. I know it's being done, but I don't know
Aluminum
where or
oxide
how.
is another one.
Specifically, since you mentioned water.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is very particular because it's one thing to talk about in a village in Brazil versus Dubai, where they're clearly doing that a lot more.
Yeah.
Got smashed for it.
They stop.
What?
And got smashed for it.
They stop
They
doing
knew
it
about
in
these things since the 1930s. It's their fault.
Yeah.
They got
Really
smashed
believe
for
it.
it.
But my question is more like, how would you, I don't know, what would you recommend in that case, especially regarding testing? Because it's kind of assumed that when you live in this kind of culture, people are going more the hippie way, which is like, everything is fine, guys. Nature is like awesome. And it's like, no, there's also, bacteria and things that will kill you and things that we put,
Yeah.
in rainwater. So how would you?
About artificial rain? Well, I don't have any control over it.
Well,
So-
not about that, but about making sure that what you get from nature, specifically in this case, the water part, is actually something that you can use further along the line without getting poisoned.
Well,
Did you
we
mention
can only
testing?
do the best we can. Like, so just use filters and try. If you cannot test your water, ask the village, the local, because they will tell you which wells are actually good for drinking. Most locals know, like, okay, you don't drink out of that well, you drink out of that well, because they've had years of testing that water. And then as far as what?
Some people die.
Some people have passed in trying.
Maybe
to
it was
well.
water. We're not even.
What about
but
the
thing
graphene
is-
oxide? It's
Okay,
in
let me think
everything.
about it.
It's in everything. It's in everything. Graphene
We
oxide is
can-
in everything.
You gotta be a bit of a cockroach too. We can turn so paranoid that we don't do ever anything. So
Not recommending that.
no, but that's what I'm saying is there are certain things that are completely out of our control. So the only thing we can do is do our best. Like there's, what am I gonna do about rain being created by some scientists in that? I cannot do anything about that. What can I do about biological welfare, chemical well? I cannot do anything about that. The only thing I can do is try to live the best life I can live for myself. So this is my best life. This is what I think is best for me. And that's why most of the times I say be certain that this is what you want to do. And then if this is what you want to do, nothing else matters. That's it. Nothing else matters. Just do your best to do that, to achieve that. Yeah, I don't have an answer. For example, there are certain regions where people have uranium in their ground. That's completely natural, right?
Yeah.
And there are people that have arsenic in their well water. And that's like certain areas of India that are completely natural. A lot of the minerals that are toxic to humans are minerals in the ground. So it's a risk we just kind of assume, and then you have to understand that we all take risk-based decisions. So if you live in the city, there are plenty of risks associated with that. So what I take into equations like, okay, how do I want to live? What brings the most inner peace? What type of impact I want to have on life? What do I want to leave behind? And taking all of those into consideration, I guess toxicity,
yeah, I don't want to die in pain or with pain. That's normal to not want to die. So choose a place that kind of does more check marks than X's.
So far, you're at 2 metal songs. Nothing else matters. Toxicity. Go on.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once you find a place, so of course you're not gonna know everything about it. So after that, you just have to observe, and try to be at peace. Whatever happens, accept it. Like for example, one of the first things I had to accept was barking of the dogs in the background. I want to build a retreat, a meditation retreat, and they're like, whoa, 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 morning, day, and night.
Disconnect.
Disconnect. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It'll be, I don't know. I'm gonna choose between not telling them about it or like being really upfront about it. Like you're gonna hear dogs bark, just get over it. yeah, use it as an exercise. I'm fine. Yeah.
No, like they should be
The barking
Yeah.
of the dog.
You want to be one with nature.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Or you can choose the bear.
Yeah. Choose the bear.
Or the honking of the horn.
Yes.
That's pretty annoying. I'd take my dog. That sounds better than
Any other questions? So I can
Pass the hat.
pass the hat to Alexandra. I'm meaning the little cute thing. No. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for
Does
letting
it
me
still
talk.
have battery?
I don't know.
Is it still green?
I don't know how it functions. Here.
Marian, mai are baterie ăla? Vezi dacă nu are ăla, poate celălalt.
I can't see any light.
That's true. There's one too bad.
Later on. Or no.
Exactly.
Good.
Acum te vom Alexandra Andrei.
Drept fără niciun proiect.
Am zis, da, inițial am zis braci nomad, doar că mi se pare foarte pompos, așa, braci. Adică fac, da, care cineva nevoie de ajutorul meu și pot să ajut, sunt acolo. Știu una alta ce să fac, dar braci, cum zicea și Raluca, bunica ei a făcut niște braci, 35 de ani. Pe acolo.
Acum haideți să ascultăm din experiența Alexandrei și ce are să ne spună.
Bună remarcă. Ce să vă zic? Vă zic că experiența mea cu permacultura este una foarte vastă, pe departe ca celorlalți speakeri. Experiența mea cu permacultura este de explorare și învățare și spun una foarte personală. Apropo de ce ziceam mai devreme, că nu mai văd atât de bine și atunci mai degrabă observ.
Dacă vreți să învățați bazele permaculturii, eu ce am făcut, m-am dus, am întrebat bătrânii satului. Again, cum zicea Raluca. Sorry, I forgot that we were speaking in English. So, I said that my experience with permaculture is very thin, and that an advice for beginners would be to ask the villagers, because they know, especially the old people in town, they know the super basics, like what do you plant tomatoes with? Oh, you plant them with garlic, you put some basil around, things like that. No, easy. The interesting part, as a side note, is that the villagers spray their vegetables, although they know these things. So I find it always, I can't get mad anymore. I just see it as a theater, as a play, and I observe it, and it's just interesting. I normally, this year, for example, when I had the biggest garden since forever, I experimented in the greenhouse with this mix of basil, hot pepper. I haven't sprayed anything, obviously. I've tried ash, for example, which is super cool for everything, in my opinion. At one point, I've asked myself, and I've asked the villagers, and I've asked the internet, what plants help with how do you say, dăunători, pests. So, cayenne, turmeric, diatomaceous earth, and so nettle. So I made a big pot of tea with everything in it. Bogdan is probably not gonna agree with me, but I guess. No, I made a tea, and I sprayed plants. Just did that to protect them from everything. But basically, I didn't do this too many times because I wanted to see what happens. So some I tried to protect, some I didn't. I let them alone to see how they do. We were talking in the last conference about how plants get stronger if they have tough times, if they don't have water, you've seen that normally savage plants, wild plants, are much stronger than plants in the garden. Many times they don't need protection; they've already learned it. That's what I wanted to say. Because I have no experience, not that much experience with permaculture, that's what I do most of the time. I compare plants with people and people with plants. And I observe this, the world of plants is like a big community. That's what it is. Some plants are super fragile, and I would say they rip in the slightest wind, but they don't. They just bend and bend, and they never break. And then some plants are super thorny and hedgehoggy, and they don't want you around. Say, get out of my way! I don't want to see you here. This is my personal space. Exactly like with people. So that's something it's an exercise for me, and that's how I'm trying to learn about permaculture. And I would advise whoever is interested in this, if you like observing people, observing plants, just the same, because it's a very, very interesting world. If you have the time, I admit I don't always have the time because, as I said, I'm busy. But when I'm in the garden, I take my time, and I'm doing this. I'm having my relationship with my tomatoes, with my basil. I observe how some like to grow in certain areas, and why? Because maybe they don't have enough water. Just basic things. Maybe they don't like their neighbor plants. So that's actually I'm passing it to you. I'm giving you this challenge, let's say, to observe what happens with the plants.
and how, for example, some plants that are being attacked by other plants or by pests, some of them just, even if they're in the same situation, I mean, attacked by the same pests or attacked by the same weeds, some of them make it, some of them don't. It's exactly like with us. I don't know, I think it would be very interesting to be able to speak with each plant and see what they think about their neighbors and how they do it, how they build this community. And just like us, you probably know this if you're in the they like listening to music. For example, I've experimented in a greenhouse with playing Mozart to them and classical music in general. I've also experimented with rock music and you can actually see the difference, you know? I don't know, maybe, I don't think it's my imagination because, you know, when I have this chill music, they grow and they're happy, and obviously there's a billion factors, just like with us, that influence us. But it's really nice to watch and listen to them. Also, you can sing with them, and to them. Yeah, I think everybody likes a good heartfelt song. I still want to I didn't try with that, I must admit. It wasn't that. I didn't want them to be so much of a bunch of lab rats. But who knows? There's lots of good songs. So yeah, that's the main thing. I'm not gonna talk as much as I talked in the last conferences because it's not my super strong thing, permaculture. But I wanted to share this with you because I really love observing people and I like listening to them. I like comparing them, their voices to a certain plant or flower or tree and I think it's a very nice thing to. I don't know how helpful was that, but anyway, if you have any questions or if I get any new ideas.
What's your favorite plant?
My favorite plant? I would instantly say exotic verbena. Vervain? Verbena exotic. The other verbena officinalis is considered a powerful medicinal. Cure it more. But this one is vervain is
very strong.
Exotic. It's very strong. It smells like lemon, but not really lemon. It's a sweet lemon, and it's very good for anxiety, which I'm trying to not get rid of, because it's okay, I can work with it, but it's something that's been haunting me for years, and when I smell vervain, I'm just, it's like after a good meditation, or after a good run, or after a good swim, or after a good hike on the mountains, it's just, so that's one of my favorite plants.
What's the one you use most often?
Oregano.
I only have essential oils. Oregano, yes, I'm also obsessed with oregano.
Castor.
Castor, yes, I use it for my eyes because it goes very deep and I patch my eyes in the night. Although I don't have a problem with my eyes, I have a problem with my optical nerve. It's damaged. And I use it because it goes very, very deep in the tissue, and it heals very, very deep. And I see it. I see it. I see better actually. I see better than 2 years. Ricci. Și pot să-l câștig. But I don't know, making the oil, I think it's because the seeds are small and
Eu auzisem că ricinul e toxic dacă îl atingi, că îți face, îi produce iritații.
Uite, poate Raluca ar putea să zică mai bine despre asta, because I also heard it's toxic, but at the same time, I think in the States, Dylan and Dave, it was a real fad some years ago to eat castor oil.
Yeah, castor oil.
Internally.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take
Not the
castor
plant, the oil.
although it tastes horrible.
No, not the plant.
Yeah, but
the seed.
The seed.
No, you don't eat them. You die.
What is the oil made of?
Yeah, but if you eat it, I mean, in Germany you eat it if you want to fast. You eat castor oil to cleanse yourself before fasting, but it's not a good thing to do it too often.
You can touch the plant. You can play with the plant. You can, if you are scratched, no problem. Don't eat the seeds. Don't eat the plant. It's a plant from Africa. It's a multi-annual in the northern hemisphere. Doesn't live more than a year. The oils are made by pressing, like a special pressing.
They're not cold pressed or what?
It's not very cold press. And if it's going more than 40 degrees, then the toxicity of the plant dies.
All right.
So can you make tea with it?
So you can drink it once.
Oh,
and then
that's that.
Like with the
Only once.
So yeah, you can eat. You can use castor oil. Very good. I had this because I made a video about it, and then everybody, do you have an idea? Castor, it's a poisonous plant. I said, I know, but not the oil. Why do we buy castor oil for diarrhea?
Castor oil is quite often used
for
in the
some
States.
problems because when you make the oil, you have to heat it. And in the heating process, you kill the toxicity of because it's a special kind of toxicity. Normally, if you have a toxic plant and if you like use it by mistake, when you make a tea, sometimes you higher up the toxicity of the plant. But with the castor oil, if you higher up, then the toxicity dies. What you can do actually, what is still very interesting, when you press it first, you have to you heat the seeds a bit, like 30 to 40 degrees. But then you also have to heat a bit the oil until 50 or 60. The rest of the seed from the pressing, it is sold as a rat poison. So don't eat the seeds from castor, please. Like 4 or 5 can kill you. And someone stronger, 7, 8 years. And it's not a nice death.
Yeah, I was really curious about how the oil is made because I do use it intensively.
Yeah, no problem with that.
Externally, but
it's good. You can use it because it's no toxicity.
I know.
If you use a lot, it might still be like 0 point something toxicity, toxic active ingredients in it. But if you take it a bit, it's not a problem. Just if you drink maybe half a liter, then you might get problems. But drink half a liter of oil, it makes anyway problems.
It's a really pretty plant.
Yeah, it's a really pretty plant.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Nothing. Because I have nothing. And then they were going to the CIT.
I don't remember now because there were a lot of videos being so I was a bit shocked. I don't remember everything. She told me that there's something about she also wanted everyone just someone and wait everything announces maybe 1 year.
Maybe I can suggest some things because I had the same. One day, 2 years ago, I woke up with a blurry eye, one of them, which started to get better and better. And of course, I did things about my nervous system. And then after 6 months, the other eye went blurry. And I did some blood tests and MRI. I did have a lesion on my brain. Probably diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And I think the most important thing, because we're probably most of my friends are very, very close, or already have one or more autoimmune diseases. I mean, this is the fad. This is the trend of our days. And the most important thing is also realizing not only what you eat and trying not to get annoyed and trying not to whip yourself all the time. Because I think we're a generation that grew being unhappy with ourselves a lot. I don't know if you have the same, but most of my friends are like that. Everything, auto-criticism, very hard auto-criticism. And it makes sense having an autoimmune disease when you constantly whip yourself. It's just, it's logical. So it is just something. A warm advice: love yourselves, because I came up with this 2 weeks ago. You better start loving yourself because you're gonna be living with yourself the rest of your life. Thank you.
There you go.
Even she said it.
S-au văzut în oglindă.
M-a plăcut.
Nu place de ea.
You gotta love yourself. All right. Who's next?
Now for them we have Tudor.
My brother in suffering, which is not suffering.
Cu cel de la pian, care era pus la încărcat.
So, since we start talking about being blind,
Sorry.
I
opened the door.
I don't have a problem. So we probably, okay. So, as I said, I live in Nepal for something like 6 years or something. And even though I live in the middle of nature, I never thought about myself as a gardener or anything related to that because I'm legally blind. So for me, it's like green, 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 and green, green. So whatever.
You're also a guy.
No, actually, I can name 50 colors and can describe them. So no, I actually know colors, but I cannot differentiate stuff a gardener, or I can tell you what an acacia tree and what a willow is, because I can recognize the colors of the leaves because they are very big. But besides that, in the gardens, I cannot distinguish between a weed and a seedling and whatever, because they are like all green and whatever. So I never consider myself like a gardener, or of course by relation permaculture guy. So let's say it was more or less this until something like a few months ago, when I realized that permaculture is not only about agriculture or a way of doing agriculture in a hippie way, you said? Yes, in a hippie way. I was listening to a podcast, and at the beginning of the podcast, they were talking about one planet way of living, about planet care, people care, and fair share. And it clicked for me because I was searching for some values for a community, for an intentional community that I'm trying to build. And even though I wrote a lot about intentional community, like way of relating with people and economical system and about health and about education and stuff like that, I was thinking that any intentional community should have something like core values, some sort of a glue that will keep you there when some issues will arrive, because regardless, even in a marriage, issues will arrive, in a friendship issue will arrive. So in a community that will have, I don't know, let's say 10 people or whatever, people that have very different backgrounds and, I don't know, family situation and whatever, issues will arrive. And if you don't have a very good glue that will keep you together and enable you to overcome that problem, that community will go into the wind in the same way that, I don't know, a quick rain came and come in the middle of summer. So then I realized that when that woman said about these core values of permaculture, that are supposed to be the way you should relate to people and to nature and to the environment and to everything. So when you say permaculture, you don't say just take care of the ground when you put a seed or something. So they say the first thing is planet care. So let's presume that all of us will be loving each other and will be friends or whatever. It actually doesn't matter, because if we fuck up this planet, the only home that we have is not important. We can be the best friends, but if we don't have a place to live in, it will be irrelevant. And in one way, we put ourselves in the middle of, oh, we are going to kill the environment. No, the environment will not die. Regardless, life will find always a way, but the environment that we are used to live in will disappear. So if you don't take care of the water, if you don't take care of the air, if we don't take care of the biodiversity of the place that we live in, if you don't take care of the relation that we have with the place that we live in, like, I don't know, the forest, the animals, the river, it's not important what will be the relation between us, the people. The second thing in permaculture is people care. And people care, I think it's important because, let's say you plant a tomato in the ground and the tomato grows and whatever, and you eat it. They say, "Oh, I give the tomato to her, and people care or something." I don't know, but people care comes also in the form of self-care, because, as she said, if you don't love yourself, it's like you are going to live with yourself to the rest of your life. So it's not that important. If you only care for the people that are around you, then that are close to you, then it's also irrelevant, because sooner or later you'll have to get out of your bubble. Even if we move together, all of us today in this place, sooner or later we have to get out on that gate. No, maybe we'll need some seed, maybe we'll need some paint or whatever. We'll need a bucket of water. We'll need a bucket maybe. So people care will also mean society care. So you need self-care, you need community care, you need also society care. And then it also comes in the form of fair share. So fair share It's something like, I don't know, you have the privilege of having something. I don't know, this piece of land grows a lot of tomatoes. I like it. And eggplants. And they will produce, I don't know, 100 kilos of tomatoes. Maybe I'll give some to her, maybe I'll give some to the neighbor. But if you are just going to grow more and 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 more tomato, like in any capitalist system, it's like pointless. The way is not to grow more, is to need less, is to be more responsible to the water that you use, to the way that you use the soil, to the way that you relate to your society and to the environment, and to give something back. When I moved there, I was thinking about like, oh, I would like to increase the biodiversity of the area. But then I have 5 cats, and I'm always thinking about my 5 cats that eat bugs and lizards and frogs and snakes and birds and whatever. And I always think like, am I actually a pest in this area because all my cats are eating all of this? Or am I just taking care of the mice that, even though I have a mud house, I don't have mice in my house, so it's not a problem. So where is the equilibrium? So probably maybe when you say fair share, is to realize that I was listening today to a podcast, and it was saying something like you are a vector of privilege. So yes, you have a privilege of having something. At least I think I have. I have a plot of land that I live in. I have the forest. I have a lot of space around me. I have a very good soil that gave me this year something like 50 kilos of eggplants, and without doing basically nothing, because as I said, I'm not a gardener. They grew something. And I have my health. My eyes are not important in this equation, and I have the support of my family. I have the time to learn and to educate myself in regards to wherever I feel like it. But if you only keep what you get only for yourself, like where is the fair share? So if you take all these 3 values that are part of permaculture and you extend all of those to everything that is around you, to people, to buildings, even when you build a house like this, if you care only about yourself, you don't care about the shadow that you put towards your neighbor, or to the trees that you take out, or to the impact that you have on the bugs in the ground or stuff like that. That is not permaculture. But I didn't thought about it. For me, when I created my house, I didn't thought about like what I would take out of the land, but I was always thinking that I'm taking something, but I want to give something back. So for that reason, hopefully by the end of this year, I'll be able to cover my house with earth, so I can give back to the plot of land that I took that house out of, put the earth back so the grass can grow back. And it's basically just a very small indentation into that plot that I'm trying to live with that place and to have an impact, but to have a sustainable impact, because the way I see it, being sustainable is like not having a 0 impact, but having an impact that can be sustained for the next, I don't know, 7th generation, or I don't know, 400 years. The same way people in the Gothic times were building for hundreds of years a cathedral that they will never see. It was not important for them. They were just adding a stone and another stone and another stone, because at one point in the future they knew that somebody will be able to go inside and will be able to enjoy. So in the same way, I think that I'm trying at least to use permaculture principles to hopefully create a intentional community that will be there after I'll die. That's
Thank you. Now,
and that's.
So if you're alone in the woods, why are you creating this community?
Not sure yet exactly. So the first step was something like 2 years back when I had some people visiting me and said, like, okay, what is your plan? I don't know, what's my plan? Imagining a few out there and out there and out there and some people live there. That sounds like a community. I don't know what the community is. How will it work? I don't know how will it work. I never lived in a community. I never created a community. So start writing about it. Okay, I can do that. I'm good at writing. So I wrote something like a big document of 9 chapters about some, not principles because I will not call them that, some starting point of conversation, and I'm still continue to write and to learn about it. And hopefully during winter, I'm hoping to visit some intentional communities. And now my focus on accepting volunteers is on volunteers that had some experience in visiting or in being part of creating or living in intentional communities. I just had 2 Germans in the last few days that visited me and that were working on creating an intentional community. And I do not know, I'm not that good at at one point I thought about like if I put the information then people will come. Unfortunately in today's online environment it doesn't look like that. You have to push it into people's eye, and I'm not good at that. As I said, I'm good at writing, and then I will go back at my building stuff and playing with mud and stuff like that I enjoy doing. So there's no clear path for me in that regard, but there is also not a deadline in there or anything. I just know that when I left the city, for me that I don't know what will happen. There was no plan for the day after. The only thing that I knew is that I have to get out of here. So that it's like escaping from a jail or something like that. This is how it felt. There was nothing after today. And then little by little I realized that okay, it's fun. I enjoy it. I don't have, issues with being alone because I usually have very little time of being alone because I usually have volunteers. Probably this year something like 15 or whatever. So it's always somewhere around me, like my family, volunteers, the postman or whatever, and 5 dogs and 5 cats. And no, I'm not alone. So what? I have a garden now, something like 250 square meters that a French volunteer set up for me in spring, and he did an amazing job. And I think he did an amazing job because he actually loved it. Usually when I have volunteers, sometimes it sounds like a fight between me and them, where it looks like they feel like I'm trying to get as much as possible from them, and they try to do as little as possible for me. But with this French guy, it was like a love story. I never asked him for anything. I never sent him to do anything. He was there in the garden. I was asking him to come to dinner. That was necessary because otherwise it could have been lost in there. But when he was taking a break or something, he was staying in a chair, in a swinging chair, and he was reading from a book about gardening and stuff like that. And he was enjoying so much what he was doing that probably the love that he put into creating that garden. I still have eggplants in my garden. So it was amazing to see what is happening. So it's for next year. I'm planning somehow to find somebody that is willing to take the task, because I said I can help, but I cannot take the responsibility of gardening, because like green, shades of green and different sizes. But I planted this year like potatoes and garlic and onion and parsley and paprika, beans, tomatoes, eggplant, zucchini, and summer squash, celery, the word, the big root, celery, and I don't know how it's called in English, julienne. Oh, in German, I know the word. It's kohlrabi. It's in German.
Kohlrabi,
in English, okay, and kohlrabi. Very nice kohlrabi. So I don't know. It looks like a very fertile soil, because it was never used for the last 25 years or whatever by anybody, since it's so far away from anything. You are more than welcome. I don't even have a key at my door, so I cannot stop.
The bears can come whenever they want.
They already come.
They already come, but my dogs take care of them. They take them back into the forest.
The welcome committee.
Yes, yes. I have a very welcoming committee. They are very fine.
Go.
What kind of bird is this?
That's a cracker.
Owl?
Owl. The conventional agriculture is going down.
I think for Hungarians it has some sort of a meaning about that, because
Romania.
I don't know. I have big owls. Big owls meaning like this side of wingspan around my house.
It's called bucha.
When I moved there, I was afraid of them, that they would take my cat, because you can see them from a tree going down, something like 1.5 meters from the ground. They like.
You still have to be careful about carrying your cats.
One of the owls already took it. One of the kittens. There were 3, and then there were 2.
I still have 5.
So how many years you are in that project yourself?
So it's, let's say, the 6th year. I moved there in 2018. In 2019, I started working at the house. And it's still going.
I'm doing mostly the job by yourself.
Mostly, but I had help, many volunteers. Mostly work away. No, work away mostly. I had some volunteer from Helpix at one point, and one from World Packers. It's very weird, World Packers. But work away mostly. It's a very interesting environment of work away, because it's something between, like, I'll not call it professional. I'll call it.
Brings more experience. One?
No. Because usually there is something like two types of volunteers that I get.
The one that knows something.
No, the people that write to me, that I accept by default.
Oh, okay.
And the people I write to them, that I read their description and I write to them because it's something in their description that sounds interesting to me, and I invite them to my place. Usually I accept people because, as I said, I consider myself as as somebody that has something that not everybody is privileged to have, because I have the time, I have the money, I have the space, I have the patience, I have the mindset, I have the quiet of mind. And I have volunteers that stay for weeks. I have volunteers that left in 48 hours. I had crazy volunteers. I have crying volunteers. I have funny volunteers. I have volunteers that did gardening. I had volunteers that wanted to become death doulas. You know what a doula is? Yes. Death doula is somebody that will be by your side when you are going to die. It's very nice. I will not do it, but it's a beautiful job to have, because to be by the side of somebody at the last moment to help them to go peacefully, some things like accept something that you were never willing to do. I had volunteers that came alone and left together. I had volunteers from South America, from Africa, I didn't have now yet, from Australia, from Europe, from, I don't know. Romania? Yes, also from Romania. Romanians are usually, it's like, I had some Albanian volunteer recently that never had polenta, and they look, they were more like Romanians, because they said like, oh, in our country nobody understands what volunteer means. And I had the same kind of situation. At one point I was volunteering in some place near Agnita, and I was taking care of some horses, and I was helping at this horse place, and I was helping a peasant that was there to be the main caretaker of the horses, and I was helping him, and he asked me like, how much are you paid? I said, no, I'm not paid, I'm a volunteer. What's that? Well, you know, I just received some free accommodation and some food, and I don't have any kind of problem with paying rent and electricity and bills and stuff like that. And I learned about horse and I'm happy about that. Yes, but how much are you paid? No, I'm not paid. In the end, he didn't believe me, so he thought that I'm there to steal his job. So he started saying bad stuff about me, and the owner of the place realized that unless he kicks me out, he'll lose that guy. So he asked me politely to leave, because he was risking that the only guy from the village that was willing to work for him to take care of the horses. So in the same way, Romanians are usually something like, well, I could come to you, but I will see about it. And they say, oh, I'll come next week. And they say, no, not next week, next week. And something like, from my experience volunteering in Romania, something like, it's something like, since you are not paid, you are not supposed to, you are not responsible for. So you can just take off in the middle of the night just because you feel like it without any explanation or whatever. It's not fun, I will say. A few days ago, I had a French guy that left at 7:30 in the morning. I don't know why, but he left a football ball and one of those things that you keep between your legs and you play with your hands. That the kid, that this German couple had, that were with the kid, enjoyed. But many times, the reason I accept volunteers because there is a very big gap between what you dream of and what reality is. So people dream about, oh, I live in nature and I live free, sunshine and rainbows and whatever, and then they get to my place and see like, oh, I have to walk 5 kilometers from the store to you. And if I want cigarettes, I cannot get them immediately. Oh, and mud on my shoes from the car? Oh my God, no. And a few years back, it was a French guy, 23. That's critical age for a man. Don't get involved with 23 years old man. He looked at me at one point and said, dude, this is a nice place, but I cannot live in here. I said, why? Because you don't have a hot shower. And he said it like, because he could not see that I have a bathroom in my house. Yes, it was not functional at that point, the water inside the house, the hot water in the bathroom. But he couldn't see beyond. He wanted it now. He wanted it finished before he got there. So many people think that, oh, living in nature is like sunshine and rainbows and everything will jump from the garden directly to your plate and it will be eco-friendly gardening and you'll not spray anything and produce will just be perfect and the cheese will make itself without you milking the cow or whatever. And then they get there and realize that in winter you have to chop the wood and put it on fire, and then when it rains you get mud on your shoes, and maybe sometimes like this year the well just dried up and you have to bring water with bottles from a spring that is 5 kilometers from your house. It's better set up the measuring thing from the heating device in your house to 23.5 or whatever, and it will take care of itself or whatever. I also know somebody that told me that they have something automatic that feed their cat. And I feed my dogs, which I have 5 and they're 40 kilos each, twice a day, and every morning I set up their plates with food, and everyone, depending on their level of movement, they receive more or less food, because I don't want them to be fat or anything, and they still eat something like 100 plus kilos of dry food, and I keep some water and I make some soup with vegetables for them and keep it on top of the automatic. This is like so unrealistic for me. Next one. You have to define the word challenge.
Dacă găsești pe cineva și nu ca să știe, poți să faci activitatea mai față și ultimele să să stea așa.
When I left the city, you know how a billiard ball is like, it's always like ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. It's like, it has to be anywhere but where it is. This is how I've always felt in the city. I tried many cities in Romania and whatever, but it always felt like that. And at one point, I decided maybe I'm searching in the wrong place. I just searching for a remote place. And for some reason, I got to maybe, Inelets and Scărișoara in the journey, a little bit higher than where I planned. And I went there and stayed for something like 10 days in a tent while it rained every day. I walked only in bare feet because it was pointless to have shoes. But in those 10 days, I felt more like home than in the previous 35 years. It felt in a way that, I don't know, it was home, but not home like in place, like in here. So then I said like, okay, and is that like kind of a image that you have like told tourists that when you go there. So it's such a cool place to move here, and then you find out that every 2 months there is a flood and you can just paddle to your job or whatever. So you're not actually want to move there. So I decided that I would want to move in a village for 383 days, in which I said, I'll not take a decision for any reason, regardless what will happen. And that's it. Now, I'm almost 3,000 days, and I'm not doing that. So for me, a challenge doesn't exist in my way of life. I feel so like at home there that I don't know. There is a saying like every kick in the butt is a step forward. This is how I see it. Like everything that I do, like my house that I build, and the bridge that I build, and the bathhouse that I build, and the garden, everything that I build there, it's like a learning curve. It's in the same way you look at a child. It's not like, oh, if you put 10 of this and 2 of this and 5 of this, you'll get the perfect child or whatever. You just do it. You'll never be prepared for that. You'll never know what you'll get. It's just an adventure. So for me, it's just an adventure that it's so fulfilling of being privileged of having it. That I cannot say that I have a challenge. The only thing that is challenging, maybe, is that sometimes there are some things that I have to choose. That is not something like, oh, should I choose to plant tomatoes this year or I don't know, whatever else. It's something that involves either a lot of money or a lot of work. And many times when I have to make these kind of choices, it feels really, really lonely to take that decision because I have my family and I can call my sister or my mother and tell them, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And even don't worry, it's not a problem. Even if I don't know, burn my house, which I did once, I still have a place to go. So there's no risk involved, but they are not there. In English, you say they don't have skin in the game. You don't live there. It has no impact on their lives. So basically, even though I have their support, they cannot help me with taking a decision. And sometimes it's difficult to take some projects and to start something. But then 30 seconds later, I realize it's just a game. And whatever happens, happens. And it's not the end of the world. But for those 30 seconds, it's a heavy burden to carry on your shoulder for a moment. What? No. Even if I have a partner in crime, let's say, and even with that partner in crime, let's say with the house, whatever, it was fine, and let's say you have a kid and whatever. There is no patient. Maybe you live for the next 50 years, maybe you live until tomorrow. Maybe you'll be happy, maybe you'll be sad. So the question is not if you have a partner or not. The question, what will be left after you die? And in that consideration, I think this is why community is the answer. Because let's say I found this place. Let's say I have the privilege of having everything. What for? What? Let's say he learns a lot of stuff and he doesn't like to do it. What will it be useful for? Because he will die at one point. Whatever he learns, it will go into the ground. You have children. What is the most important thing? Your genes. You are fat, you are thin. That's not the most important thing. What you give to them is the most important thing. And what you give to them is only something that you can give to people. he wants to write a book. Maybe I will write a book one day. But I prefer people. I prefer people like in a community, but not only a family. Because at one point you have that party. Maybe you die first, maybe your partner will die first. Maybe you can go back to the sea. I have never gone back. I cannot do it. I prefer to go by myself. But if you can kill me, then to go back. I will never. Longing means expectation. And expectation, if it's not fulfilled, is disappointment. Will I like that? A partner in Christ? Yes, I like it. Do I have the expectation of creating a community? No, I don't. Because if it doesn't happen, this is what is supposed to happen. If it will happen, this is what is supposed to happen. More than one is better than one. Because then you can, so many times.
It was about that, right?
That situation where it's difficult to do something less than it takes me to wash my teeth, to brush my teeth. It takes less than that, and I do it twice a day. It's not a problem. My problem is giving back. I think Marianne said it in the beginning. In order to receive, you have to give. If I come first to you to ask for something, I'll probably receive nothing.